All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fights. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going to be going over each and every fight and lack thereof on UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Barber. We're going to take a look at UFC 316 Dvalishvili versus O'Malley 2 as well. And to do all of that with me, as always, the Ohio player, my co-host. He may not have a new set of tits, but at least he shows up. Mr. Chase Parton, how are you?
Dude, I am living. This is another good Monday. We had some fights on Saturday, and needless to say, it was an event. I can tell you that the people in the crowd, they got a once in a lifetime experience for this one. So I'm super excited to get into it because funny stuff happened, and I can't wait for you to remind me about so many more.
Oh, there is so much to talk about with this one. We're going to get into all of it, of course. If you are new to the show, we are going to be going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Barber. If you have anything that you want to talk about in the chat that is not pertaining to you, the individual fight that we are talking about at the time, you can throw it in there. We'll come back to it at a later point in the show. Just remind us. But to get this thing started, this was, I guess you could say, UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Barber. This took place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And usually, Chase, I would ask you, what your perception of this event overall is before we start talking about it. But I figured today, considering how much was crazy with this, I'm just going to go through the laundry list of things that I have about the event first. So bear with me for that. And then you can add anything to it that I might have forgotten. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So keep in mind, folks, this is now between us talking about this event last Monday, and the event actually taking place. These are the things that had changed. Now, we already knew that Billy Ray Goff and Suk Young Ho and Oban Elliott and Ramiz Brahimaj had canceled, right? Those two fights had both been canceled. We knew that one fighter from each of those fights was going to flip-flop opponents, basically. So Oban Elliott, now facing Suk Young Ho, has been rescheduled, and Billy Ray Goff and Ramiz Brahimaj did take place on this card. So that's number one. Number two, Markel Medeiros withdrew from his fight and was filled in for on very short notice by Dana White's Contender Series alum Michael Aswell. Alan Nascimento misses weight. Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chiasson gets moved to 145 pounds because of a 10-pound weight miss by Ketlin Vieira. Malcolm Wellmaker was supposed to fight Andreas Gustafsson, but pulled out and was replaced by Trevin Giles, who tripped and bumped his head leading into that fight, leading to that one being canceled altogether. Gustafsson now going on to be rescheduled for an event going forward. Macy Barber misses weight. Then, at least from the reports that we got, has a seizure backstage moments before she is supposed to make her walk to the octagon, leading to the main event of this card being canceled. Minty Betts completely whiffs on her segment tremendously. That was a great clip that's been
She
going
glitched
around.
out. Yeah. I'll add
Yeah.
that. That's exactly what I thought. Like, holy shit, she's a robot. She's tweaking.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
There was some definite teleprompter issues or something going on with Minty. Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena have a trash talking segment that gets aired on the show, except that gets screwed up when they first start to air it, so they have to re-air it. They restarted the airing of that one. There was a 40-minute gap from the start of the broadcast until the first fight of the card. This is the first card that utilized ref cam in the UFC. So you saw the referees with the bow tie like cameras on their chests.
It was actually like a thing you could see. It was a bow tie. That's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, it's got like, it was like the camera in the middle, and then it had like these two little, like, I guess clips or something
That's
that were
kind of
going either
hard,
way.
guys. I didn't know. I just thought it was the normal ref shirt. Maybe Dan was sporting his little tie.
Yeah, you got to adjust that thing a little bit, I
Yes.
guess. But yeah, so first use of ref cam, and then another bombshell piece of news that kind of got a little bit lost in the shuffle with all of this because of all the craziness. But Noche UFC has been moved from Guadalajara, Mexico to San Antonio, Texas, and will no longer be a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I think they heard the backlash for the Volk and Yair match, and they were like, "Well, shit, we got to figure something else out." But it can't be in Mexico. Or the
But there
cartel
was
took over the arena. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a number of like speculations as to what exactly was going on with that because I remember seeing a tweet. It was from like not Luke Thomas, but someone like that, someone in that sort of insider realm who had been saying that there was some speculation of problems with the Guadalajara element of things, whether it was cartel related or anything else. That there have been ongoing issues. I think some government stuff was going down there that may have prevented the event as well. So.
Maybe you could correct my judgment here, or maybe the way that I assess the situation. And because I feel in my mind like this is a flawed way to think and it's wrong of me. So, whenever something is going to a country like Qatar, UFC Qatar, there's another one. I'm always wondering what was going on in that location. Were they was there like a small to medium sized like retaliation of some sort? Like, why did they have to I don't know. And I feel like that's wrong of me to think. Like, I don't know. That's just the first thing, maybe.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't.
I get the thought process on it. I don't think that it generally has much to do with the UFC specifically, because I would tend to suspect that the entity of UFC is not a problem to most places sociopolitically. What I think happens often is that there are pre-existing sociopolitical problems that are going on in the country, and whatever is happening with the event has to kind of bend to the whim of whatever's happening on the ground. You know what I mean? So that's what I think happened in Guadalajara. I believe that there was some kind of issues with the local government there, and something related to like governmental oversight of how events like that were happening. And there, of course, maybe some cartel related things in there. Of course, it is Mexico, but that I think was unconfirmed. I think it was just a lot of government red tape, and then boots on the ground ended up making it so that it was untenable to happen for that one.
Yeah, I hear ya. It's just always interesting. So that it's unfortunate because UFC Guadalajara sounded cool. Sounded
Yeah.
really cool. I always love when they have the names have the mystique to them, and I know that's just because I'm uncultured and these names don't sound, normal. Not normal, but that whatever. I think it's just
Well, yeah,
interesting to have some of these
different.
places. Yes, different is a better way
Yeah.
to say it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it would have been cool. I mean, it would have been the first time back in Mexico for a little while. Not that they had been there, not there for a long time, but I think 2 years or something like that. So another card in Mexico would have been cool. But no more. San Antonio, Texas is no longer a pay-per-view. So, I mean, at least with the pay-per-view part of it, your thought process with the Yair fight might have made sense because that was unconfirmed, right? I mean, they never actually announced that Yair was
I
getting a
mean,
shot.
crazy Kev threw the shout. Can you believe that it was unconfirmed? I don't know, but it probably was.
And let me say one thing real quick about our buddy Kev. And this is not, I'm really not trying to be a hater on him specifically because of all of the elements of him as a person, all right? Because we know that there are certainly things with him that are criticizable. But one thing that he doesn't realize, I think that he does, and I think is a big detriment to the fan community in MMA, is when you start these rumors and like put out information that is completely unsubstantiated, it like seeps into the conversation and then it muddies the water as to what is reality and what isn't. So now you've got fans all up in arms about a fight that was never even really being considered in the first place, at least not in a real way. You know what I mean? So you start throwing some crazy shit out there just for the sake of clicks and views. And then now the conversation just kind of navigates itself into some weird, pretzels because you just decided that, oh, this is what I think is going to happen. So it's like, bro, you're not doing anybody any favors with the bullshit that you do that way.
I often think it's funny is like these people will just post things that they already see and just have a different audience, and they're like, well, I was the first to say it because that's their audience is the first to see it. I think it's funny.
Well, and that's why, I mean, also like you've got the dudes, I forget the guy's name, but the one that's like
Marcel.
Marcel, yeah, right. Marcel.
I was gonna give him a shout, but let's go ahead and give him a shout. Hey, Marcel, you be getting the reports right, my dog. I don't know who you work for.
Oh,
Clearly,
well,
somebody.
no. Marcel's the right one. What's the dude that that puts the goofy ones out there on
Ruben.
purpose?
He actually ain't
Ruben,
been seen in a while, so I'll give him credit.
Okay.
He must have got banned or something. I don't know.
Perhaps, but yeah, because I was gonna say like there are people like Ruben Carter who like specifically are like throwing out dumb shit on purpose to like troll the community or whatever. That's I guess one thing. But Kev, that's the problem with Kev specifically is that he's presenting himself as a reputable source. Kev is being cited as a source on Yahoo News. occasionally. You know what I mean? Like I know this is
He's
what I'm saying.
big time, brother. He
This is
is
the
big
problem.
time.
This is what I'm trying to tell you, though. This is why it's a problem that he's just pulling shit out of his ass and reporting it as fact often, and then having to just make those little like measly tweets. Oh, that wasn't correct. It's like,
Yeah, I agree.
anyway. So that's just a little bit of a side note when it comes to our
Little
buddy
side
Kev.
rant
But
for you guys, and shout out to Deadly Pubes, to give him a shout out.
oh yeah,
Crazy Kev does miss. I've seen it with my own eyes. Let's not spread the lies.
yeah, Crazy Kev often misses, but yeah, shout out to Deadly Pube, shout out to Beeb, shout out to TJF. We see you guys, bro. Appreciate you.
100%.
But yeah. So anyway, let's get back to this Blanchfield versus Barber non-event here. We had a couple of fights on it. I mean, was there any?
We had a couple. That's hilarious.
Well,
just a handful of fights. Saturday was just. It did feel like it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but dude,
Yeah.
I agree. It felt like I just kind of just sat down and just stood up, and there was 6 hours of fights. But really, it was crazy.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why I also kind of threw in there that there were 40 minutes before the first fight is because of that exact thing. I mean, they probably could have pushed the start time of this event back another hour if they wanted to.
I mean, listen, we'll get into it, of course, but you can't have a long card when you stack up with some killers or some dummies. You'll see some dummies on this one, but I think it's really funny that we saw not one or two, maybe not even three. We probably saw 4 to 5 different Macy Barber and Aaron Blanchfield fucking promotions in the 40-minute gap to start, right? That's the start. And these are only 7 minutes. Like, they fill a commercial break. You guys got to remember this. Then we get more then when they realize, like, oh shit, people are like finishing. Oh shit, Blanchfield, throw it in there, throw it in there. She's been training since she was 6. Okay, next one, we get another finish. It's like, oh my god, Macy Barber, throw it in there, go. Dude, this was rough on the eyes for most of it.
It was not only just the promo packages, but to have to hear the analysis from the commentary crew, the desk commentary. I mean, it was just, oh, bro,
Dude,
so much analysis for a fight that did not happen.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's the craziest part is like it was bad leading up until the main event. Like, I remember people were saying, like, jokingly, like, man, I wonder who the main event is, because like they just were shoving it down your fucking face. Like, who could be in the Macy Barber is in the main event? Like, holy shit, I didn't know coming into it. And then it doesn't happen. Like, you guys have no fucking idea how, like, it, in my opinion, the main event should have been pushed to 5 beforehand, and then I think it would have been an okay finish for kind of a slop fest of a card. But the fact that it was 3 rounds and they're just like, the funniest part is, I think the funny part is that they go to the desk crew and they're like, Macy's she's not where she's supposed to be right now, guys.
Oh,
we have no idea what's going on. And it's like, what do you mean you don't know? Where do you so my opinion, I'm like, well, she's taking a shit, guys. Like, that's exactly what she's doing. That was my first thought. Second thought is, I don't know. But go ahead.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that part of it when we get to the end of the card here. I guess we'll finish off with the confusion leading into the non-fight. But let's start this thing off with some of the fights that we actually did get to see here. So
it'll be a quick one, boys and girls.
Yeah, I know. They're not a whole lot to say about some of these, but we'll get into it for each of them. As
we
always.
Normally fluff it out for you guys.
Of course, you get a full show when you come around to last week's fights. That's a given.
100%.
So starting this thing off, Hayani Dos Santos versus Alice Ardelian. What'd you think of this one to start it off?
This one, God, initially pisses me off because I agree. Alice should have won this fight. She's a dog. Like, she's actually not a bad fighter. And what she did was exactly what I predicted her to do. And then I come around by the end of the week and I say, Vegas must know something. They must know something. And then I watched this goddamn woman suck for so many rounds. What I think is key, and I be saying this often, is like, how do these notes not come out beforehand? How does nobody on Twitter spot this out? Miss Dos Santos is like a former atomweight, and then she has just never won in the UFC. Not a division that she can, be in. She has to move up, and she's just obviously not skilled enough. Like, that's just the takeaway right here. Is this is somebody who is just not able to compete at the level or at the size that this level has to have. And Alice just fucking did her shit, man. I'm so proud of my Romanian girl. You guys have no idea. It's so nuts that she won this fight as like a plus 260 or some shit like that. Why didn't I trust my gut? Why did I not trust my heart and soul on the TikTok star?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, this is what I'm thinking is kind of crazy right now. You saying that Dos Santos was sucking in this fight, though, because I mean, I thought that this was a really good scrap between these two. Now, granted, you are right that she is undersized. I mean, that that Lorisenko is constantly talking about how they need an atom weight division, which I always think is kind of funny because Lorisenko suggesting that we need more women's MMA is to some people a kind of crazy line of discussion, but I am not amongst those people. I think that if there was an atomweight division, that would be just fine. Whatever. Regardless, though,
True.
yes, Dos Santos is undersized in this weight class. That is just a given. And she was going up against Alice Ardoyan. Now, we were talking on last week's episodes for predictions, saying that, yeah, Vegas must know something because she was such a big favorite. And I think that what I had said at the time was that I thought that they were thinking she was going to try to get her to the ground, which she didn't really try to do very much. So I think that the real problem here was not that Dos Santos wasn't doing her thing, because I mean, she was landing some pretty good hands there a couple of times. I think the issue was that she tried to go tough for tough with Alice Ardoyan, who is actually a pretty tough chick, all things considered.
Dude, that's exactly what I'm saying is like when I say she sucked, here's what I mean. She decided to stand and she lost every exchange. Like I mean she landed her shots, but nothing was ever cracking Alice. She went into the post fight and she's like, "I love to get hit in the face, y'all. It's so great." And like you just can't imagine somebody like that who's 10 and 9 and 7 at the time actually coming in and winning. And I'm so proud of her. I'm not gonna lie. She's so funny. I don't listen. She's great. That's all I gotta say, guys. She's great.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up gaining a lot of respect for Ardoyan over the time that I've seen her fight at this point. TikTok aside, OnlyFans aside, she really is tough, and she is a goer on the feet. It sucks. She's pretty much only a boxer and doesn't really mix up the martial arts, which I think is going to be her ultimate detriment going forward in her career. Like at this point, if you're not out here trying to at least, figure some stuff out on the ground, get yourself a little bit more skilled in that regard. She didn't really have to deal with much of that in this fight. That's what we were saying on the commentary. It's like this was a perfectly like handpicked matchup for her in a way. If Dos Santos wasn't going to try to go to the ground, because she got exactly what she wanted. She got a person who was going to continue to come forward, walk herself right into the shots, and just let her do what she wanted to do. So, I mean, I think that this was the type of fight that Ardoyan needed, and she got what she want out of it. So, I mean, that ended up working out great for her. I thought Dos Santos did mix it up a little bit in there, just not effectively enough because she's small and I would say probably a little underpowered as well. But she did mix in some nice knees, just not enough versatility, I guess, if you're trying to go pound for pound, just straight up in the face of your opponent,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also would like to add that when Alice shouted out TikTok, I was like, holy shit. I didn't actually know she was really a TikTok star. Like, I just thought that was just something people just said. Like, I was very shocked here. But more shocked that she has been fighting like this, and I've been thinking like she's been a fake TikTok star. She's an actual real TikTok. Like, she's shouting out TikTok. So, and putting on a performance like this. I don't know, dude. You
Oh
guys
yeah.
can't have a better representation for the app right now. I'm telling you. Fuck.
Have you not seen her TikToks? She's a legit TikTok personality. And if you've never seen her TikToks, I can basically describe her content as something vaguely suggestive sexually happens on screen, and then she goes, hmm, and makes this little
That's
face.
fire. That is fire. She's a beast. She's making more money than everybody on the card right here, probably.
That's probably not too far off. So it is kind of amazing to me that she's been able to be as successful as she has been by finding clips of things happening and then her making a face. But
Yeah. She's
that's the
almost as
internet for
smart
you.
as Bryce Mitchell, guys. Remember that.
I mean, she's working probably a tenth of as hard as Bryce is. So I appreciate that aspect of it. But either way, I mean, when it comes to this fight, I enjoyed this fight a lot. I thought it was a really good first fight of this card, going into things.
I said exactly, and I stand by this. They put this on the first fight because this is like a guaranteed like slug fest for 3 rounds, just like the last card where we had Miss Pennington and Panero. I think it was Panero.
Pennington and oh god, yeah, Panero, yeah.
Bingo. Yeah. So this was going to be like a definite decision, but it was going to be a firefight kind of deal. And unfortunately for DeSantos, she lost all of the exchanges. Like every time she left her chin so high up in there, like I can't believe she didn't get knocked. I'm not going to lie because Alice, dude, she can slug. And you actually were critiquing that she doesn't mix in enough. Brother, she stuffed 6 takedowns, it looks like. So
Again, bullshit with the stats. I mean, like, yeah, she probably did go into some level changes a little bit, but to count those as takedown attempts, I think is a little
fair.
bit, a little bit of
Fair.
a stretch. And I mean, they did go to the ground, but I think that that's more of where the criticism comes from. There was one time where they went to the ground. Dos Santos basically like pulled Ardoyan on top of her, and then she chose to stand back up. Now, I mean, we're constantly saying that, if you're better on your feet, stand back up, but
She's a
I mean, if you're getting gifted a top position like that, I would think that you could probably do some ground and pound. Like that's what Vitzking was saying on the watch along. He's like, why? I mean, she literally just like dismounted and stood back up when you fully had what you wanted. Like you were I mean, she was in the guard, but like still, I mean, she was on top to the point where it could have just been bang, 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 but she just decided not to.
See, I think this is where we got to start to understand a person's mindset of the sport is because Alice said, I love to get punched in the face. I love to punch people in the face. I listen, I know I said it already, but she don't want to do the ground and pound. Now let's get back up. Let's trade for a little longer. Let's do it for 2 more rounds. I'm not here to finish you. I'm here to just slug for 3. That's what we do. And to be honest, that's what she's done. Like she really is kind of about that shit. Like she may not be pointing at the ground like Max Holloway, but damn, she is walking down for 3 rounds. I respect the hell out of this bit.
That's kind of what I was getting at when I say that I've gained some respect for her over these fights, because it's like when I first found out about her coming into the organization, it was paired with the information that she was an influencer, and I was like, oh great, a person coming in with influencer as their primary function in life. What's the point? What are we actually getting out of you being around? And then over the time that I've seen her fight, it's like, no, I mean, yeah, she might be a TikTok star or whatever, but she actually does really go out there and put on solid performances, just sometimes comes up short.
I want to ask your opinion, and yeah, maybe you're not even the best one to ask because there's a lot more people maybe in the chat who are a little more in tune with what's going on. But I was gonna say, when you think of the modern era and the TikTokers, the YouTubers, or whatever, who do you think is like the prime example? It's not Alice. Who's the prime example that comes to your mind? I want to give you
I
a
mean,
quick one.
Jake Paul.
Well, I mean, in the UFC. I'm sorry, in the
Oh,
UFC.
like, okay, not just in combat sports in
Not in
general.
combat sports. Yeah, Jake Paul would
Huh.
probably be it.
In the UFC, I mean, like, I would say,
Because like you could say like, oh, Alice Ardoyan, oh, she is a TikToker for sure, but like she comes from the era of TikTokers. Who was the leader in the UFC of the TikTok, YouTube, social media era fighter kind of deal?
I mean, I would say,
Sugar Sean is
yeah,
another
I
one
was
to
going to say
follow.
Sean O'Malley would be the one, but now he's off social media for at least for a while. He's been saying he's been off social media, and I mean, I would say that like maybe like guys like Kamaru and Henry with their podcasts and stuff, but that doesn't really fit the mold of what you're talking about. Do you have an example in
Mm-hmm.
mind? Is that like,
No, I think it was just something that came to mind, and I was curious what you would think. Maybe a little brain food for the chat here. Something to think about.
yeah, like some legitimate like person who's got like a huge influential following?
Yeah, they
Maybe
came in.
Adesanya. Adesanya had a decent following socially
True,
before.
true. I could see that.
He
I
might have
could see
built it
that.
up over the time in the sport,
Yeah,
though.
I'm thinking of somebody who came in with the hype of what's Rising guy. I'm sorry.
Oh, Kai Asakura.
I mean, that's kind of close. I mean, he didn't get to the UFC and build upon that from that, but like in Ryzen, like he was definitely a social media guy. Like he has like 2 million followers or something like that. So I think maybe that's a decent option, I guess. But
Yeah, and if you're like if you broaden the conversation, I know this isn't, we're kind of going a little all over the place if you do broaden it, but if you broaden the conversation, then I think that like some connection can be made to like when CM Punk came into the organization to an extent, because I mean he was coming in.
Brock.
Yeah, well, Brock's a little bit different because Brock had been doing both, but like he had a little bit more of a credentialed history with wrestling and stuff like that. But see, I mean, I'm talking like actual wrestling, as opposed to pro wrestling. But
Yeah,
with CM Punk, it was kind of like he was coming in strictly off of the name value, having been a pro wrestling star. So I guess that there's maybe again some tacit connection between the two. Again, not really the exact conversation that we were having there. So, yeah, it's a good question who like the leader of that would be. But yeah, I mean, I guess the ones that we named, Sean O'Malley, I think probably is about as close as you could get because he's the youngest. He's the dude who like started off in that world with that type of fan base as his primary audience to start out with, I would say.
yeah, I can see that. Well, it was just a little thing to think on. But anyway, any last thoughts on Alice and Mr. Santos? Because it was a good little scrap. But I mean, it was just it was the cartoon anime dust cloud kind of fight.
Yeah, exactly. Cats in a bag over here. No, not too much else to say about it aside that it was I thought a really good fight to start it off, and it was nice to see a pair of ladies throwing hands out there and not going to the ground immediately and making it just a grapple heavy affair. I like to see the impact shots from these two.
100%.
All right. Well, speaking of, I mean, I think that we had a pretty similar type of fight between these next two. This is Balaji Oki taking on the aforementioned Michael Aswell, coming in on short notice to fill in for Markel Menderos.
You said this was similar? Bro, this guy, Michael Aswell, has the craziest chin you'll ever see in your life. This guy has, bro, think of the hardest thing that has ever existed, bro. This guy, Oki, not to mention, I had him by finish because I was stupidly, I always think, I've seen too many times people get them to the ground and then they sub him. Or, there's a lot of different instances. But so I'm always with Oki and a lot of people going forward. I think going for the finish is smarter. But anyway, Oki, 100% never going to try to sub somebody, I don't think. Even looking into it, the dude that he subbed, his record is like 0-16, which is really fucking funny. But anyway, Michael Aswell, holy shit. He looks like Benoit Saint Denis and Charlie Cox a little bit. If you watch Daredevil out there in the chat in the crowd.
Hold on, that's actually funny that you say that though.
Okay,
because
go ahead.
he also looks. If you look at him from the side angle when he's kind of looking, like just off to the side, but you're seeing it from the side, he looks like Colin Farrell also.
Oh my god, I could definitely see it. Yeah, no, but Michael Aswell, dude, it's so funny because Balaji Oki was hitting this dude so fucking hard, man, and he didn't care. He did not even flinch. His head never moved when he was hit with these shots. And I think it is so crazy because this is the type of shit that you get in the sport. You have somebody who can knock anybody out in the world, and you just get a random dude from Texas and he'll just go out there and just get punched for 3 rounds. And he actually did really, really good. Like, I actually am a pretty big fan of this dude, one, for stepping up on short notice and putting on this performance. Like, holy shit, he is hilarious. But, like, dude, shout out to Michael Aswell Jr., for real.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, that's why I think it was similar to the first fight. Like, the notes are kind of copy paste almost because of how tough Aswell was and the fact that he was throwing back. I mean, yeah, he was definitely taking some crazy shots.
Dude,
you are not lying.
This holy shit.
The chin is insane on this guy. And I mean, Oki, I would be slightly worried because of that now, having seen how much damage Aswell took. Like, Oki might not have finishing power, which is kind of concerning considering how much weight he carries on his frame. He has a lot of muscle on his frame for a lightweight.
Dude, I was sitting there. About halfway through round 2, I accepted Oki sucks. He ain't finishing shit. He ain't finishing shit. But it was about maybe 15 seconds after that, I said, all right, man, this dude just clearly can't go down. There's just nothing that you could do. Bro, the kitchen sink is the least of this dude's worries in this fight. And I swear to God, he walked in with a smile and just continued to walk forward. It was nuts. There was not a single takedown attempted. There was no clinching. It was 100% punch each other in the face. There was some body shots that were good, but dude, I'm like in awe that this is how this sport plays out because you have a definite knockout. This dude is gonna slug with you for 3 rounds. He is built like a fucking train, and he hits like a fucking truck. This guy, Michael Aswell, just walks in, literally short notice, just shows up. You could see his body. He clearly is just off the couch kind of deal. And he just walks in and takes every single shot that this guy throws. Dude, I want to make actually one point. Oki's kicks, he's got to work on those, brother. Those are really slow. They're not he doesn't turn the hip right. So his foot is like coming straight up. And, he's going to get fucked with those kicks. But either way, Michael Aswell Jr., shout out to this dude for breaking my parlay instantly. I mean, DeSantos did too, but like this dude ruined my life. And I actually respect that. Like, that's how you build a fan.
And yeah, I don't think he actually was straight up coming off the couch though, because I believe that they had said on the broadcast that he's
always training. What does the guy training for if he's in shape like this? He must be training for something.
Well, I think
always.
he had a fight though. I think he had a fight in another organization that he turned down to take this one, I believe is what I had heard. But either way, backing it up just a little bit, we probably should have known that Aswell was going to come in and put on a banger performance though, because on the Contender Series, he had an absolute banger fight with Bogdan Grad. I had forgotten that was the other side of the Bogdan Grad card or, fight. And Grad ended up coming in and getting his first win in the organization not too long ago. So this was a solid fill-in, I would say. Like they showed that clip of Dana saying that, if somebody drops out, this guy's the next guy in. And I'm glad that they actually stuck to that. So I appreciated that.
Did he stick to that? Dude, it's been a whole year. I mean,
well,
plenty of people have dropped out. I mean, he had a fight coming up. I mean, UFC, Dana wasn't calling bro until this guy was ready to fight. I don't know, but that's
fair. And yeah, I mean, it was very short notice, so it is.
He was probably the last guy. Yeah, that's really funny. He's like, oh shit, who was that guy? I don't know. I'll just write him off. Anyway,
well, either way, I'm glad that they did call him, because this did turn out to be a pretty good strikers affair between these two. And one other note that I did not mention at the start of the card here when I was going over all of the interesting things with this one is that Aswell is also the first fighter to wear the new debut patch. This is something that they had been talking about a little bit, announced it a couple of days before the event. It's a patch that is being worn on the fight kit that is then going to be cut off and then included in with a Topps trading card. So the actual fight-worn debut patch is a collector's item that is going to be included in some Topps trading cards packs at some point.
I think it's interesting that you note that, because they've been doing something similar to that. They've always done like the cloth, like you'll get a piece of their shorts or something like that, whatever it is. Like they've done that for a while.
Yeah.
So this is specifically a one-of-one thing?
Correct.
I mean, kind of interesting, but I mean, who's going to want a one-of-one Michael Aswell Jr.? And, I mean, it is going to be funny because, like, you really have to be that diehard fan who's just collecting them. But, like, there's going to be so many people who get that one-of-one. They'll be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, but if he goes on to be a champion, then, I mean, that's a crazy thing, right?
Yeah, but I think it's got to be a certain market for somebody to hold on to cards for so long. And they got to also, the card collecting nerd type, who's also so in tune with the sport. Maybe they're just collecting for the sake of it. They're going to get as many as they want and, hit or miss, whatever you want to say. But like for the people who really get that one-of-one and they're like, holy shit, I got the Josh Van debut fucking, patch or whatever.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, that whole collecting community is something that's always been a little foreign to me to begin with. Like, it's not the world that I operate in, even though I am a collector of some things. So it's like, if that's what people like, then that's what they like. My thing with it, though, is that I just love that this is yet another way to exploit fighters' NIL, their name, image, and likeness.
That's what that stands for. Thank you very much. Appreciate
you. Yeah. So it's just another way for the organization to squeeze a little extra money out of these guys. Like, how much is Michael Aswell making on that? Dude,
like, I said the same thing. It's like, bro, if it's a one-of-one, does he get paid just by the patch? Like, does he get? They're like, all right, $50. You debut, you get $50. I mean,
right?
Somebody's gonna get it. Like, and it'll be worth something to them. Like, it means nothing to you.
It's that in a can of Pepsi kind of thing. I mean, it's like, what the hell is what are they actually making out of this versus what the organization is making off of it is the question, I guess.
I think what we'll see, and hear me out, and maybe I'm just too speculative. We're gonna see the fighters buy their own fucking patch. Like they're gonna buy them. They're gonna get them because they're gonna be on eBay. Everybody's gonna have the Michael Aswell Jr. Or not everybody. One person and he's just going to have a bid, and somebody's going to be like, all right, it's going to be him, and he's going to buy it. He's like, I'm going to be a champ one day. This is going to be worth millions. Like, that's going to be their investment type of thing.
Yeah, bet on yourself, I guess. But either way, just an interesting note that is, he is the first fighter to do that. So, a little
Was
history there.
supposed to be Andreas Gustafsson, by the
Yeah,
way.
right. Yeah, it was going to be Andreas Gustafsson. Of course, that fight did not happen. So, yeah, I mean, only other notes I really have about the fight itself is, yeah, I mean, Oki does have some great boxing, sharp jab, good combos from him. As I had mentioned, he does carry a lot of weight on his frame for lightweight. I would be a little worried about his cardio in future fights against faster opponents. As well, was not really like super fast. So, as a slower opponent, this made sense, but a faster guy might be a little bit of a problem for him. And then the last thing is just that as well is indeed a dog moving forward, taking heavy damage, great chin and determination, just not enough to overcome the power and stamina of Oki.
Yeah, stock definitely raised for Michael as well. Questions were raised for Oki. I want to actually add one more thing about the shorts thing.
Yeah.
Do you think Andreas Gustafsson is going to have two debut patches somewhere out there? Because there's a pair of shorts that he has worn with a debut patch. But will those be the same shorts that he is going to wear in the next couple weeks?
I would suspect that they're probably going to destroy those first pair of shorts, recreate it. You got to keep the one of one mystique, bro. If it's not a one of one, the mystique is gone. So those
Don't you
shorts
think that would be even more cooler? Is like somewhere out there, there's a second one. There is a second one. Like it's a one of one in that regard. Think about that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
that I know. I follow the thought process for sure. I think that maybe that would be the kind of thing that like somebody from the production staff keeps.
That's what
then
I'm saying. You see stuff like that all the time where people would be like, "Oh, I just, I got it and I asked if I could have it and they just gave it to me." Like something like that. Like somebody back there was like, "Yo, if you're going to destroy them, I will take them, please." Like,
yeah, some line
or
producer.
at least let me cut the thing off.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, some second unit coordinator person is going to be having that in their man cave at some point in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So,
yeah,
funny thing to know.
yeah, for sure. And that's really about it for the fight. I mean, Oki, dominant in the exchanges overall, but as well somebody to keep an eye on because the dude is tough and he will throw hands.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really enjoyed this fight. This one, it was so hard to watch because I'm watching every round. I'm like, dude, he has to fall. After that, like, no fucking way does he continue. And he just did not show any damage. Like, he didn't wear any damage, and he also physically did not show that he was being, hurt by Oki, which is like making me think, like, yo, is this dude the toughest guy we've ever seen? Or is Oki just not as strong and not as capable as we thought? Because he landed everything. He was connecting, dude, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, it was to win, but like to finish him, it wasn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, like you said, questions raised about Oki's power at least, and then again, I'm harping on it because I do think it's something to keep an eye on is the amount of muscle on the frame.
Yeah.
For lightweight, he is a big, bulky lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not be the super tallest, I mean, like that. It might not be in height, but in mass, he definitely is.
Let's be careful before we talk. I mean, we had somebody who couldn't make weight, and they could, but they didn't really, they weren't able to make the actual fight after they make the weight. So let's give a break on Oki. He actually looked fine. He didn't gas out or anything. He actually
No.
He was putting the work on him for 3 rounds and still didn't gas out. So I think let's hold the weight things because he somehow manages. He's chiseled to the fucking core here.
True.
Let's
Yeah,
be
no.
real.
I mean, it's fair. I'd be worried more against an opponent who's going to be like lighter and quicker. That would be the thing I'd be concerned
and wrestle.
about. Yeah, well, and definitely that, of course.
Well, because he's kind of clumsy too. Like he doesn't when he's on his feet, he can throw some good punches, but like once he's like off balance, he kind of like slips and falls. It's like somebody's going to capitalize on the scrambles, and he's not going to be ready for it. But
yeah,
for this performance, I mean, it's just the way you perceive it. It's like somebody's going to look at this and they're going to be like, holy shit, Oki just beat this dude for 3 rounds, whatever you want to say. It was a great performance. I don't know how they gave him a round, to be honest. Michael Aswell stole a round, but he put on a great performance. Going forward, boom, I'm putting money on him. But like when you look at it, it's like, is it somebody who's really reliable? Is this a killer or a filler? Is Michael Aswell just the God chin. I don't know if I can believe that yet. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and always keep in mind that Oki was the dude that got jump gillied by Chris Duncan.
Dude,
So
he literally fell asleep on top of him. I think that is like it's so funny. Like, oh gosh. Anyway,
yeah.
continue.
So
Let's go.
I mean,
Yeah, we
yeah,
can
I'd
go on
say
to
that.
the next one
Yeah,
finally. I know
let's
we had a
move
little
on here.
sidetrack and the chat's not as active, so I appreciate you guys if you're listening still, but we're getting on to one of the better moments that I've had in recent histories because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I nailed this on the fucking head.
That's I was just gonna say. This is
Oh,
Kurt Hollabaugh versus Jordan Levitt. The first note in my notes. Talk about accurate predictions, Chase.
they don't know until they know. Jordan Levitt is somebody you don't want to bet on because of the character that he is. But I told you, Kurt Hollabaugh loves to lay on his fucking back. And in the first 5 seconds, he's instantly on his back, gets up to his feet surprisingly after a little bit, and then gets chucked right to the fucking ground. Dude, this slam by Jordan Levitt, if you want to call him gay, sure. If you want to say he acts that way, sure. If he slams you like that, that must be embarrassing, bro. Like if that's the way you want to think about him, he slams you like that, embarrassing. Gets on the fucking back, and then he actually gets an anaconda choke. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kurt goes down easily within the first 30 seconds and then gets choked into
You
oblivion after
can't make it up.
a slam suplex from Jordan Levitt, which was so nice. I was like, yo, this guy, Jordan Levitt. And I mean, really, I think that the bigger note here is not, I mean, the suplex was definitely great. Takedown was what it was, but the slickness of Jordan Levitt's hands, because Kurt begins to stand up and Jordan just like a ninja. I mean, ninja choke for a reason kind of thing, whatever, anaconda in this case, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I mean, he goes in there, slips the arm under the neck. Kurt not even aware of what is happening at the time. It was just so nice and effortless. He thinks he's just going to be standing back up full ways. Well, no, buddy, sorry, that's not going to happen. Anaconda choke in there before Kurt knew what was going on. Out go the lights. Kurt was out quickly, bro.
Dude, for a dude who has been subbed one other time and has 10 submissions, I can't tell you how confident I was that he was going to get submitted here. Jordan Levitt is for the most part has been not the greatest fighter, but he's a great grappler. I mean, that is a great thing to notice. He is an amazing grappler. Striking, yeah, he landed 2 strikes and won a fight. I don't really give a shit right now if he has striking or not. We'll continue to see when the competition raises because he continues to, he's adamant that there's more to come. Like he's in a new state right now. Haircut, new state aside, not the best look. Not the best look. He's had some worse-ish ones, but this one's still not it. He can still continue to find himself on that regard. So
yeah, well, and
yeah.
I mean, and this is what I definitely wanted to touch on the note about his perceived zestiness. Look, I've always liked the guy. Like, I really have never had any problem with that stuff. Yeah, he does the flamboyant thing, or had in the past at least. I think that was kind of an attention-getting kind of thing. He's committed himself to not doing that anymore. He is vowed to no longer twerk after his wins, which I think is a good step in the right direction. Goes out there and nails it with the worm instead, not dislocating his shoulder like Johnny Walker. So that's a big plus right there. I thought he was extremely humble in his post-fight interview, in his Octagon interview. He was a little emotional there, saying that he was questioning himself for a little while. He gets this really good win. This is the beginning of his new chapter in his fighting career. I'm good with the guy, honestly. I think that he did everything right, in my opinion. He got a really quick, nice, lights out submission, and then was very contrite in his post-fight Octagon interview. I see nothing wrong, personally.
I think this is just so funny that like people in the Discord specifically, bro, they went against Jordan Levitt specifically because they're not going to bet on the Zestmeister. That wasn't a quote that I heard. I just made that one up on the spot. But you've heard it before. You've heard it before. So Kurt Hollabaugh is just like, even in his time, not a good grappler. I don't care what the stats say, 10 submissions, brother. This shows it right here because you always see old grapplers who like the move set, the flowing just never fades. Like it's just something that they keep with them when they're a true grappler. Kurt Hollabaugh gets manhandled immediately. Thinking now, I'm not trying to say in the moment I thought about this, but thinking now, it kind of was similar to what happened with Surreal Gone and fucking John Jones. Bro, Jordan Levitt stood right there with him, waited for the strike, just ducked, tackled him. Like, it was like so instant. Kurt Holloway had no answers, tackled him right into like full mount too. Like, I don't even know how bro got up, to be honest, bro. Like, I can't believe this fight because I'm so good at what I do, boys and girls. If you listen, Jordan Levitt would have just won you so much fucking money, bro.
And that was going to be the point I was going to make too. It's like for anybody out there who it's like, look, feel however you want to feel about the, you know, whatever the LGBT and perception of any of that, whatever you like, you know, everybody's got their opinions, but I mean, you're just going to be like Vegas wants you to think the way that you think, you know what I mean? Like, so go ahead and give them all of your money on some dumb shit while Jordan Levitt's going to go out there and do what he does.
I've had moments before, and you know, I felt pretty confident about the picks that I've had. But this right here, I think this gives us credibility for the people listening. If you are out here betting and you somewhat believe that I say some good things, here's an example. This is why you listen to the show if you're ready to win some fucking money. Jordan Levitt got the submission, but that was like a plus 350 on my books. I know it's not the craziest, but like, bro, it's a given. That's plus money on a fucking easy dub in a minute and 39. Like, just get up out of here.
Yeah, you just have to sort through all of the incorrect predictions. But that you know, when they hit, they hit. So,
dude, this was good. I actually feel pretty good about this card. Like, all considering times that again, we go through this again. I'll mention it. I say something on Monday. I do a week's worth of talking around, getting some research, getting some word. It always fails me. I'm initially always just right. And that's what hurts. Is like I cannot just listen to myself. Right? If I would have done Alice decision and Jordan Levitt sub, you guys wouldn't even see me right now. You guys wouldn't even see me. Like,
off to Mexico for real, man. We're running off into the sunset. I feel you on that. But
yep.
Well, I mean, I guess then there you go. That's the takeaway for us, is that we need to trust our guts a little bit more. How about that?
We need to do that more. We need to do that way more often. And that's a note to everybody out there. If you're ever just doubting yourself, trust here. This is what you got.
Fair. Unless it's anti-zesty Jordan Levitt, then
true. You know, don't fucking bet. Don't fucking bet. Leave it to me, please. I'll take the plus money, please.
Right on. Well, all right. Well, I don't know what your gut. I don't remember at least what your gut was saying about this fight, but this is Jafel Filio versus Alan Nascimento. Of course, Nascimento missed weight coming into this thing, so I don't know. What do you think about this fight?
I'm glad you mentioned the weight because I want to say it meant nothing, and I'll tell you why. Jafel Filio is one of the dumbest grapplers I've ever seen in my life. Because he, for 2 rounds, there's 2 specific instances. He had the back in round 2, I believe it was. Back in round 2, maybe it was round 1. And then he decides to jump over his opponent. He put his whole leg over his head and gave up his back. And you're like, holy shit, what are you doing? Holy shit. But you're like, okay. Wait, but he had his back. That was just one slip up. Like, why would you do that? You're not going to do that again. He does something even dumber. I can't even remember what it was because I think I was in shock for what I was seeing. He deadass had the grappling sequence and then went for some stupid dumbass move and ended up right on the fucking bottom and like full mount. Like, it was ridiculous. Oh, and I in my heart, I said, this one is not the one for me to go for. You know, Alan Nascimento, sure, the time off, I don't give a fuck, but Vegas may know something. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. How could they know? How could they fucking know that Filio would sell the entire round? He has 2.5 minutes of control time, does nothing but grapple. The other dude reverses the position, does slightly more than nothing, but grapples him for the rest of the round. And then Jafel loses the round. And like, so when the fight, before the fight started, Minty Betts came on. And I do take what Minty Betts says into consideration. I'm going to say that to you guys. I do listen to her bets. When she had Jafel, I said, you know what? It is he is a grappling guy, you know, whatever. I might buy it. But then the fact that he comes out and sells like that, like, I can't even blame that on her. Like, I'm telling you, what does Vegas know? How could they tell you
Well, I mean, they
that
might have
he's going
been.
to sell twice. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they might have been going off of the weight miss and the line shifted off of that. Perhaps that's at least
He
speculation.
was always the favorite, dude. I'm telling you, it got coin flipped because a little closer to the week, but bro, he was a favorite for the whole week.
True.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, the way that you said it though is exactly correct. Filio absolutely sold this fight. This was a sell job for real, because I mean, this was decent high level grappling throughout most of it, except for the times that low fight IQ came into play on Filio's side. I mean, for the first round, Filio almost had him subbed there late in the round. I mean, like he had the chin strap, almost Von Flue kind of thing going on there. But it was just too late for it to actually work out. So I mean, he had a really good first round, but then second round, he starts off strong, and then one mistake leads to a reversal for Nascimento around a minute 30 in, and he keeps it for the entire rest of the round. So it ends up being 1-1 going into the third. And again, Filio starts strong in that third round, gets Nascimento's back. Then one more time, Nascimento reverses, takes Filio's back, and is just able to ride out that control for the remainder of the round. Filio was chasing. He was chasing submissions too hard. He was more concerned about rushing positions too quickly to try to get himself to the submission point without considering what he was doing with his body while he was getting himself to those perceived positions. And that was what ended up killing him.
This one was so funny too because I want to give Elite credit. And I want to actually force his hand to go make a video on this dude, Alan Nascimento, because dude, he is one of the worst submission artists ever. Every time he had a choke in, they had a camera angle where you could see the mat through like he didn't have the choke in, like he was holding him there, but like bro didn't know how to like actually sync it up. It was crazy funny because Elite, shout out to you for being so funny and mad about this dude because I can imagine betting on this fight to finish, which I did.
Well,
And here
that's
we are.
unfortunate. Yeah, that's very unfortunate because Nascimento basically pulled a slow and steady wins the race on him. I mean, that's really all that it was. I mean, it wasn't lay and pray because they both are like scrappy dudes. Like, that's the what I had said about Filio coming into this thing is that he is still very Chihuahua like in his fast twitch. He's very very jumpy, jittery kind of guy, and I think that also played a factor in this. He really was like, it almost was like his mind was working like 3 steps ahead, and he wasn't able to keep up with himself. Like, he was already on to like 2, 3, and 4 when he needed to be worrying about point number 1. And that's where Nascimento was at. And the slower, steady, more composed kind of approach to things ended up being what worked out for Nascimento. And that's really what it was. I mean, he ended up low IQing himself into a loss and sold this fight completely. So yeah, I had Filio winning this one, and he really let me down in that regard. Like his eyes were too big for his stomach, so to speak.
I think what's also key to note is that Jafel Filo had the longest neck ever, and Nascimento could not get a choke in on it. Like, holy shit. And I wanted to speak, guys. I would know, but he's giraffe neck, I'm maybe deer kind of ish.
Lot of real estate to work with on that neck. Couldn't make it
Exactly.
happen.
He could not, bro. Every time he had that choke in, you could see the mat right there. I could see my name printed on it because I'm the only one to buy my name on the apex. Like, like, sheesh.
Word. Yeah. Well, either way, Alan Nascimento ends up getting a decision win on this thing, and 2 rounds to 1 is the exact right call because Filio fucking sold 2 rounds really hard and bad.
I would be really mad if I bet on him. Like, I know it's a coin flip, but like it shouldn't have been. Like the coin flip in regards to this fight, it's like, okay, this means like someone's gonna win 1 round, someone's gonna win another, and then the third round is kind of up for grab, whatever you want to say. This one right here, the odds make it seem like it was on paper to be close, but it's only close because some dude is not smart. Like, what is he doing in that fight? Dude, when you watch this, you could be so frustrated watching this dude because I'm telling you, he leapfrogged over Nascimento, but still held onto his neck. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad.
And that's the thing, too. What was so annoying about it to me is that it felt like that Filio was in his own mind thinking about the things that he had done in the past that were successful and trying to replicate that when there's no one size fits all approach to fighting. Like, you need to consider what you're actually getting from your opponent, because we've seen Filio get some pretty decent quick submissions before. Like, the style that he was coming into this fight with has worked for him in the past. So he thought, oh, I can just apply that to this. Well, obviously not. So it's like, by the time, like, second round going into that third round, you talk about people being upset betting on him. In that third round, if I had money down on him, I would have been pulling my fucking hair out, because that was, once you already find out in the second round that you're having problems with the style that you came to the dance with, then you need to adjust accordingly. Go a little bit slower pace, settle in a little bit more. You don't just go straight back to being, this crazy kind of like erratic fighter, jumping all over the place, getting yourself deeper into the quicksand. Like, and that's exactly what he did. So yeah, I would have been real upset.
Yeah, I agree. This one, if I was this coach, like, I would be, because, like, you're doing so good. Like, not even just like, okay, you're doing good. You're doing good. It's like, dude, you had his back. You were about to jump a choke,
Yeah,
and then
nearly finished him.
You randomly put your leg over his head. Like,
Yeah.
where does that even come from? Like, oh, it really was hurtful to watch.
Yeah.
If I was betting man on this guy, I'd, like, minty bets. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Anyway.
Indeed. So, yeah, kind of frustrating when it came to Jafel on this fight, but Alan Nascimento gets the job done, even though he missed weight. Did you happen to catch how much weight he missed by?
It's just 0.5.
Oh, it was 0.5? Okay, all right. It wasn't a huge weight miss then.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, this dude might... He showed up after 2 years of inactivity to the worst UFC card ever, and he'll probably just... he showed up, he'll probably be like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this was crazy. I'm not coming back to this. He probably just leaves and never comes back.
Yeah, just Homer going into the bushes,
Yeah, like, bro, like, I mean, I won't blame him for disappearing. I ain't gonna remember, bro, but, like, sheesh.
Yeah, well, it's...
At flyweight, what do you think's next for him? Let's start with that. Because he had...
Nascimento?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he might want to be more active, don't you think? After 2 years, I mean...
probably, but I don't think that there's anything that I saw in this fight that better fighters and more composed fighters can't get around.
Yeah, they didn't do anything but grapple. There was no striking thrown really whatsoever.
No,
so I think that is very key. I mean, anybody who's a striker base is going to get over on Nascimento. Anybody who's a wrestler base is probably going to have more of a striking game than this guy. So... whatever.
Yeah, I want to see him versus Roy Vol. You know what I mean? Like, somebody like that is going to be like that. That's a ridiculous matchup there.
Yeah, but we might as well give him Josh Fan, because that's more likely. Josh Fan will have a field day on this guy. Give him any card that you want. Pay-per-view though, and we get it to him.
True. Oh, and shout out to the Mank saying that it was actually a pound and a half as opposed to the 0.5.
So you want to show up right after I give you credit for talking about Alan Nascimento being the worst submission artist ever. I just want to throw that out there. Make sure that you know that I gave you props, because Giraffe Neck over here couldn't get a choke done on him, even if Nascimento's life depended on it. So just remember that, Mr. Mank.
All right, well, let's keep the train moving then from that fight. On to the next one here. Zachary Reese versus Dushko Todorovic. This was an interesting one, and one that I was not personally happy with the outcome of.
Dude, I love this. I love to talk about this one. I cannot fucking wait, because you have a guy, Zach Reese, who for the longest time I've been looking at him like, dude, he's kind of a genetic freak for this weight class. He's tall, he's lanky, he uses his range well, he's got power, he's got the knockouts. I don't want to bring up the Cody Brundage thing anymore. I don't want to bring up, any more of his knockouts. Asmat is actually more recent. That's probably very worth bringing up, because Todorovic saw that he could take down Zachary Reese very easily. And that's exactly what he did. Landed some big strikes in the first round. I don't know what round they gave to Todorovic, but in my opinion, round one, Todorovic. He took him down instantly.
Easily.
And Zach Reese did not a goddamn thing. Because in my mind, at the beginning of second round, I'm saying, Zach Reese, not it. He's not what I thought he was. I looked at the frame. I looked at the knockouts. I tried to make an estimated guess without actually knowing, because the only time that I've ever seen him was the Cody Brundage, so I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. You have a dude that only gets knocked out in round 1 and 2. And you cannot knock him out in round 1, 2, or 3. You get held down for 2 rounds. Round 1 and 2 was hold down city for Todorovic and wrestle fuck. So I don't know where 2 rounds to Zach Reese came from, because third round, In my opinion, actually, I remember coming out of second round and I'm like, oh, Todorovic is like easily winning this. And people were like, oh, no, Zachary's, he probably got that one. He probably got that one. I'm like, fuck all. He's not knocking bro out. He's not doing anything. If he's landing strikes and he's a knockout artist,
Well, he did land some
he's
pretty
doing
hard
nothing.
ones, though. I mean, I gave him that second round. I think that Reese had some pretty hard hits in the second round. He had some decent kicks, too.
And then the third round, I mean, Todorovic, I think it was just stand up at that point. Both of them were pretty tired. Zach Reese being tired in this matchup is very surprising because one, he was laying on his back for 2 rounds. Second, he's a genetic freak. Like you're supposed to have that built in. Like where's the enhanced fucking carbon fiber lungs, brother? But
Oh well, I mean, yeah. Let me run this thing down real quick
yeah,
because
go ahead, break it down.
I got a lot to say about this one too. So like this thing starts out with Todorovic strong with the early level change. He's got great stick to itiveness because he stays on Reese and Reese does that like kickoff. You know, like he gets him to the ground. Reese tries to kick him off, tries to do the up and over kick, sticks with it, and then ends up with Reese in the guillotine, and he stays with the guillotine for a long time in that first round. Like he had that thing, like it wasn't to submit him, but the control was really impressive. So he was like on the bull's back, you know what I mean? Like he really was like, you know, bucking along with him. He kept the neck for a long time there. Did a good job in that first round. When they break, Reese lands a few shots, nothing of substance really. Is already looking at the clock in round 1 with a minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. This is round 1. Zachary Reese is already looking at the clock. So this dude is tired from the first round, almost halfway through it. And
after doing fuck all, remember that, guys.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah. So then, you know, Todorovic ends up on top. Round 1 easy for him. Both these dudes are tired by the middle of round 2 for sure. Reese did have some good hard hits and kicks, like I said. So I gave him round 2. Slow start to the third because these dudes were dead tired by the third round. It was close, but I thought that Dushko, especially the fact that he opened him up at some point in that round 2, a little bit of blood on the face. I thought
it was a headbutt. It was a headbutt.
Oh yeah, it might have been a head clash. Kind of did look like that might have been the case. I didn't want to think that was, but either way, this dude.
It was a pretty gnarly split. Either way,
it was a decent split, and Dushko was doing enough work throughout all of this to the point where I was like, "There's no way that Reese won that fight." The fact that they gave him this decision, this is a petty theft at best. I mean, like he certainly did not win this fight,
bro. I normally walk away when it comes to the decisions because I'm like anticipating like, oh, I want to come back to a surprise because I normally will start clicking away and looking, ESPN will normally update before I can actually see it. I went to the bathroom thinking, Dusko fucking won this. What the fuck would I even watch the rest of, like whatever you want to say. Like this one was open shut case for me. Zachary Reese winning by unanimous decision. Holy shit, I got to pull the scorecards for this one. We got to get the judges' names because don't worry, guys. I got a list of all of those fucking judges who are fucking us up. Because this one right here, nobody bet on Dusko, by the way. But if they did, they would have fucked y'all up. So, just saying.
Yeah.
You got to play the devil's advocate. I know we all probably won money on Zachary Reese. Like, holy shit, thank God he fucking walked away with that one. But like, no, bro. Like anybody who Dusko's done, don't even start on. He won this fight. He's got another opportunity. You see that head? He's got another knockout finish coming for him. Don't worry.
Yeah, this was an unfortunate one in that regard because he is coming off of a couple of bad losses. Reese spotty as well, but win here. I guess. I don't know. Does this really help him very much?
No. He's the only dude that can't knock out the dude that only gets knocked out. Like it's crazy. Like we saw what happened with Christian Leroy Duncan. He gets up and he gets the RoboCop and he gets annihilated. And then he gets down, he goes down and he has a performance where it's against somebody who's fucking shit. Anyway, Zachary Reese is somebody who can't even get past this level of competition like easily. He's not going to get no skyrocket up to an opponent that's good. Like, we're going to see him against another can. And I hope you guys don't believe that he's going to finish him because I just don't see it anymore. I don't see it.
And over the time that I've seen him, I'm not super like I've kind of lost like this as personally the stock has gone down for Reese for me. Like I'm just I don't know. I'm not seeing any flecks of greatness in the guy to the point of like, yeah, I need to keep an eye on this dude anymore.
I would like to put my foot in my mouth because Big Onk would like to correct me. RoboCop took Dusko to decision, so I guess I should shut the fuck up. But either way, Zachary Reese, at one time I would have believed that you are maybe the man for it. Now, I just don't see it anymore. I also want to make note that at the beginning of the fight, they said he's been training with Sean Strickland a little bit. I said decision. Oh fuck, he don't know how to do it anymore. He gave it up, and then here we are. And then here we are. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's really all I got to say about that one. I was not happy with the decision. I feel bad for Todorovic on that one. The more losses obviously are not going to be helping him in any regard. Hopefully he doesn't get cut off of that, but we'll see.
Dude, you gotta laugh at performances like that. Not performances, but like when it comes to the judging and just how the night has been, like this is probably the part where you have to laugh it off. Like it's like, okay, this is goofy. Guys, we've seen crazy stuff and normally they settle down. But like, nah, this is gonna be a wild ride. If the main card hasn't settled down and we only got fucking 5 fights left or whatever it is at the time, 6 at the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got a wild ride coming for us. They
For
haven't
sure.
settled.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, this was just the beginning of a continued roller coaster for this one. So, moving on to the next bump along the line here, Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chiasson. This is, of course, where Vieira came in 10 pounds overweight. How this fight still even was okay. I mean, not overweight. Of course, they moved it up to 145, but what?
I think there's something wrong with the narrative. Where did you see that Ketlin missed by 10 pounds? Because I mean, the fight was moved to a catchweight 145. Yes. But I don't believe it was because Caitlin was missed weight or she was going to miss weight. Here's my speculation because I didn't see that. So I'm going off of what my point of view has given me and from what I've seen in the fight after Caitlin dominated her. I want to say Macy was injured and Macy was the one who decided I'm done cutting. Let's just can we do it at 145? Like I'm hurt. Let's just go get the fight over with because she did not look herself at all.
This was so bad.
She was on the bottom a lot more. She was not active. There was times where she was wincing and you could see her in the open stance like something's wrong. So I want to say that's what I believe. I know that's maybe not the story that other people have been told, but I want to believe that Ketlin was not going to just miss weight by 10 pounds. Like this is her opportunity to get back in the title picture. She beats Macy. It's like, okay, who else is there? Like I'm still set third or whatever it is.
Well, I don't know though, because this was not a catch weight. This was women's featherweight. So I mean, like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like they actually moved it all the way up to that where there is no division. What I mean? But yeah, so I mean, this is look. I don't know if that's actually true or not. That's what I had heard. I mean, I'm seeing it in conversation circles, so maybe that was misinformation that was being spread around. But either way, this was not the agreed upon weight. And I do see all the things that you had seen from Macy. She definitely did look out of sorts in this fight. So if that's the reason, then okay. I think that she should have just declined this fight altogether. This should have just been another one that got scrapped, honestly. Like whatever the reasoning was, whether it was Ketlin missing weight or both of them just not cutting or her being injured or any of those things, based on what we saw in this fight, it would have been a lot smarter just to cut your losses and not risk the loss here.
See, so I will actually give a shout out to my good friend Sydney, who was doing some research for. I don't know why she was looking at the fight. I told her to pick between Caitlin and Mason. Easy. Pick between Mason and Caitlin. And she was looking at their past fights. And there have been 2 other canceled bouts between Caitlin and Macy. That leads me to believe Macy has wanted this fight. This is the upper competition. She's been wanting this. She's been on the prowl. This is a fight where 5 other fights have just been canceled. We can't pull out. Like we want to be the businesswoman. We have to fight here. We have to go out there and just put on the performance. I know we're maybe injured. It's maybe not what we wanted, but we have to at least go out and attempt. That's what a champion would do. You don't pull out and ruin the fucking show. Show must go on. I know in this case, a lot of people don't want to accept it, but if you want to be the greatest, you got to go out there and prove it, So
well, then okay, if that's the case, then I mean, I think that the criticisms speak even louder because Ketlin, starting this fight, Ketlin landed a few decent shots on the feet early. There was a time where it was looking like she might even have finished this fight on the feet early on with it. Like she was landing some good uppercuts. Macy was a little bit slow to start. And so my point with saying that is that it's like, if that's how her mentality was, then she should have capitalized on the stand-up earlier but like, go in there. Like, she ended the fight, right? Jumping forward a little bit, she ended the fight really strong with 10 seconds left. When the clapper sounded, she was swinging hands, she was getting rowdy, this and that, trying to really turn herself up. If she had come into the fight with that same level of intensity, this whole conversation might be a lot different. She was not first on the feet. And you know how I feel about strong starts. So, I mean, this is, I think a big criticism starting with her there. But then after that, it's just Ketlin was able to control her on the ground so much for all of it. This, you talk about wrestle fucking. This is, I mean, pretty much 3 full rounds of Macy Chiasson just being on her back. She had no answers whatsoever. She looked thoroughly defeated by the end of the first round on her back. Those second and third were a foregone conclusion at that point. This was not good.
I think people were very surprised at how big Ketlin was going to be in this matchup. I mean, one, you guys got to imagine that Kayla Harrison is one of the biggest females that we've seen in this, sport. Caitlin didn't look tiny to her. And coming into this matchup against a twig, I mean, this is a tall, slender fighter. I mean, people were like, holy shit, no wonder Caitlin's going to win. She weighs 50 pounds. It's like, guys, she's stocky as fuck. Like, that's how she's built. And, I don't know. It was actually nuts to me that people were surprised at how jacked Ketlin came into this fight. And unfortunately, going into it, I did kind of switch my pick because I'm going with, it was a coin flip. I'm like, oh, Vegas has got to know. Vegas has got to know because the moment I put money on Ketlin, she does fuck all. But here we go. The moment that I didn't put money on either of them. But either way, I had lost. I already lost, guys. I already lost. But either way, putting money on this one, and then Macy does nothing at all. I mean, it just shows like kind of who they are in their, like, kind of inconsistent. I don't know. Caitlin, I can't really put it too much against her with Kayla. If you want to believe she's the next up and comer, she might become the champ. Who knows? But Caitlin, from my point of view, little inconsistent because she wasn't able to do anything with Kayla. A lot of people want to argue she busted her up. She gave her a big old lump on her head. I don't really remember all that. But this one, she definitely won dominantly. So I'll give her that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's what hurts the most is that I was in that camp that really thought that this was going to be the coming out party for Macy Chiasson's like next level status. You know what I mean? I thought that this was going to be the one where she goes in there, throws those elbows again, the same way that she did against Mayra Bueno Silva kind of thing, opens her up, that kind of stuff. Like I was really picturing a fight that was going to be strike heavy, that she was going to use her range, tall and long, get those shots from the outside, get on the inside when you have the ability to get to the ground. I mean, I had a whole narrative in my mind that was going to be Macy Chiasson being the next like name to remember kind of thing. And that completely got dashed. So shout out to Ketlin Vieira. She stays in the conversation. I'm also not sold though. I mean, I don't like basically what you were just saying. Like I'm in the same kind of line of thinking that like she is too inconsistent to be elite. But just it would have been nicer if Chiasson had caught her on the opposite side of the style that she had on that evening.
I'm telling you, I really, and I was all for Caitlin, but even watching the matchup, Macy just did not seem right. So I want to believe that you can't put this on her. I want to leave this here now. I want you to remember that if it comes out, Macy is in the pre-fight of her next fight, and she's like, oh, I was in last fight with an injury, and wait for that moment. Come back here. That's what I just want from you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, and we very well might end up hearing that. But either way, it is what it is. Win for Ketlin Vieira. We move on.
Get into this next one. Holy shit.
Oh, brother. I mean, well, so we had a really nice, accurate prediction with Jordan Levitt. Other side of the coin on this one, Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez. Oh, bro, how did Bruno get staggered by that jab, dude?
Okay, I'm glad you brought it up, dude. Oh, my God. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe this guy. Because also, he's a finisher. You guys are going to remember that. The fight that he had with Gajuzulov was a one-off. Like, he was like, I'm going to wrestle him. I'm going to get my win. I'm going to get my contract. This fight, he had nothing. He walked in with his hands kind of away from his face, got popped up a little bit, put up against the cage, put down, and then put out. And you know how bad it was? This is how you know a knockout's bad. Is one, he loves fighting so much, but then he also gets knocked out with a smile on his face. That's how you know how bad it is. Because he's like smiling, he's like, man, he fucking got me, dude. He kind of deal. I can't believe Dustin Jacoby And DC fucking glazing. Oh my god, I can't. I remember because I watched this fight over with my dad. Dustin Jacoby, DC's on the commentator. Dude, it's fucking crazy how good of a boxer he is, man. It kind of makes me mad how good of a boxer he is. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, don't fucking tell me we're gonna hear this for 3 rounds. But then, here we go. We get him fucking flatlined, and it was honestly a shocker to me. Honestly, a shocker. Not
Yeah,
because
well,
Dustin Jacoby's a bum, though. Dustin Jacoby, honestly, yeah, he might be pretty fucking good. I know he's a little late bloomer, if you want to say,
and
but
that's kind of where I was going to go with all this. I mean, you couldn't believe that the jab staggered him. I couldn't, and Dustin Jacoby couldn't believe that the jab staggered him. I mean, I think everybody was very surprised by that. But
oh,
yeah,
runs after him.
yeah. I mean, but so that's what I was going to say too. Is that like after the jab did kind of wobble him a little bit, there was some really nice close range work for Jacoby after he knew he had him hurt. So you got to give him credit for having the killer instinct and knowing to go for it. And Dustin Jacoby is becoming the prospect killer for real over here. I mean, he did that with him and now with Vitor Petrino as well. I mean, granted, Petrino had already kind of, his hype train had been derailed pretty heavily by Anthony Smith, but regardless, he's
You might
out
be
here.
reaching a little bit. Yeah, the prospect killer's reaching a little bit. I
Could
will
be,
say that.
but okay, then either way though, I think that it is certainly time that we give Jacoby a little bit more respect than he had been getting. You know what I mean? Like I think that he until he's up against grizzled veterans, until he's back up against the Dominic Reyes type, he's doing the damn thing.
He is, but it also needs to be selective opponents because the UFC should see like how electrifying this moment was for like this card, for this to be what it was, and for him to just put him out in the way that he did. They should realize, okay, we got to do some selective matchmaking if we really want to make the most of Dustin Jacoby. Selective matchmaking, give him people that are going to slug with him, and we'll see if we can knock him out. And I think that is a very good thing to do because Dustin Jacoby, listen, he's a good striker, but you put him up against specific people and he's not going to be able to beat them. And that's just I mean, if Dominic Reyes just 3 fights ago, not 3 years, and he's taken 3 fights kind of deal. This was 3 fights ago that happened just last year. Like he just got flatlined by Dominic Reyes, who at that time we are wondering if he's about to get the nail in the coffin. So we got to weigh the recency bias a little bit here.
Fair. I'm with you on what you're saying on all that. My question, Jacoby, not a spring chicken, I would say, right? He's like 36 or something.
21-9. I mean, he has
Yeah.
more losses than it obviously matters to a point. If you have more than 5 or 6 losses, like you're probably not going to be the greatest guy.
Well, so then the question for me, do you think that Jacoby might be one of those guys that could possibly benefit from moving up to heavyweight?
We have seen it, but we haven't seen it as much as we have thought. I'm pretty sure for some reason, we thought Johnny Walker was moving up to heavyweight, but I don't think that he's fighting like next week. So I don't think that's
Nah,
actually.
he's definitely not. I wouldn't
But
think so.
but I can't tell you any more cases of people that are taking the jump other than Kennedy.
Right.
So will Dustin Jacoby go ahead and do that? I do not believe so.
Well, do you think
Because
he would benefit from it though? I guess is the question though. Like, does he stand a better chance? I mean, because then he's going up with sluggers and stuff. I don't know if it really does benefit him.
if we're assuming that he would jump into the class right now with no adjustment needed, whatever. I think maybe, but if we're going off the premise that he's already had a full career, old dog, no new tricks being taught here, just tell him not to cut. I mean, is that like the whole game plan? Is just like, oh, just fucking eat cheeseburgers. Just don't even worry about a cut and go in there and beat him up. I don't know. I mean, he's a pretty
Yeah.
big dude though, so he could probably do it.
Yeah, I kind of asked the question with an answer already in mind, and I think the answer is no. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
honestly, he might go. It might even be better to try to think about doing the opposite. Really
If
hit the
yeah,
cardio heavy and go down. But I don't think
if
he
he
can make
was
it.
middleweight, this would probably be a different story. Like, he could probably strike with some of the light heavyweights, but we can see that the light heavyweights that are on their way out can somehow keep their foot in the door on Dustin Jacoby, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think that the status is like kind of exactly correct for Jacoby. Like, he's a dude who will get the wins over certain guys. I think that you should be aware of that, because I think that a lot of people just automatically for a while were writing him off like, oh, this guy's not going to be able to get a win. Like, he's just easy money to bet against him. But like, that needs to change at the very least. But then, like you said, it does need to also come with the caveat that the opponent is very important with him.
100%. I 100% agree.
All right. Well, next up, one of the more disappointing affairs on this thing. This is Billy Ray Goff versus Ramiz Brahimaj. The biggest betting favorite on the card, Billy Ray Goff, ends up getting submitted by Ramiz Brahimaj, and he made it look super easy. Second guy on the card to go out completely.
Yeah, this one was pretty nuts because I often don't feel bad when I lose on early bets. And I think I do it on purpose because of moments like this where I get to it and I'm like, oh, if I would have had money, I would have fucking lost trying to listen to Vegas once again. Once again, Vegas on short notice, I'm thinking, oh, they know something. And they don't. And I also want to note that going into this fight, DC, his little fucking notes of the fucking fight, so stupid, be a fucking king, remember you're a grappler, whatever you want to say. And I was kind of fucking around. I was actually an idiot for saying, DC, this dude just put Mickey Gall out on his fucking ass. He's a striker, buddy. Don't fucking tell him to grapple. Go out there and beat the fuck out of Billy Ray Goff. Oof, was I a little wrong about that? No, this dude is a 100% grappler. Holy shit, you see that ninja choke? He jumped the ninja choke, transitioned, put him to sleep, ref cam, had it on there. We see dude snoring. Perfect, picture perfect. I can't tell you a better moment. Billy Ray Goff, maybe an idiot. Maybe an idiot.
Yeah, could very well be. I mean, I'm sure that I saw, and we probably talked about it on the show, but I didn't remember Goff's previous fights all that well. So I really didn't see what the hype around him was based on, at least, without doing some further research at the time. When this was the original pairings of the fights that they had originally had, it might have been a different assessment. But going into this one, I did think that Brahimaj had a pretty decent shot at this one, seeing what he had done against Mickey Gall. But of course, Mickey Gall later on in his, I mean, not late in his career, but I mean, he's had Mickey Gall, we've talked about his career plenty of times on this show.
His career ended after CM Punk, dude.
That's the whole I mean, he had a very, you can't really judge Mickey Gall's career like the same way that you judge other people's because of all of the factors therein, CM Punk and everything else. But either way, so I'm just like, what I knew is that Brahimaj did the damn thing. And I was like, okay, I mean, this could probably be a pretty decent dog, but that the line was just crazy discrepancy. So it's like, all right, well, maybe they do know something that we don't know. But yeah, no, they did not on this one. Ramiz, really nice technical wrestling early. He was good spatially aware, like there was good spatial awareness on his part to go with the bodily motions of Goff, like follow him along and keep with, kind of going with the flow, not trying to force anything, which I thought was smart with what he ended up doing. But yeah, Goff thwarts the initial tie-up, gets Ramiz in the clinch. Ramiz gets that ninja choke sunk in, and he put Goff to sleep very, very quickly. So, I mean, this was another one similar to how Kurt went out. I said that, two guys going out on the card, both very quickly. But shout out to Bloomis, who was in the watch-along chat, saying that this was reminiscent of John Jones versus Lyoto Machida,
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely brutal. I mean, Ramiz is... He's still not somebody that's on. I mean, he is on my radar because he's had 2 back-to-back finishes. He had a knockout and a sub, so he's kind of on my radar. But I still think he's like a dark horse, especially actually, I was gonna say especially a lightweight, brother. He's at welterweight. This dude is a lot bigger than I thought. My apologies. He might have some decent success, especially as a finisher. He'll get some fun matchups. I want to make note though. His hat. Do you think the cone head is a reasonable thing to go ahead and represent?
It is apparently a traditional Albanian headpiece, so I guess you gotta give it the proper respect based on cultural aspect. But yeah, it sort of made DC look like an ice cream cone or a makeup applicator when he had it on. Yeah, it's interesting because my thing with the hat is that I don't understand it because it doesn't really serve much of a functional purpose.
It doesn't show you it doesn't. I don't know. I mean, not all of them should like represent like a region. Like you can't tell like the Uzbekistan little cap. I often question how many more caps can they come up with? How many more regions am I going to see different cap? Like the Conehead one, honestly, is the most unique though. We've seen all little types of little funny hats. Not funny in a way that disrespectful, but they're often cute and little playful little hats that they
Unique.
wear.
Yeah,
Yes,
unique.
novelties. And this one here was for sure a novelty. I'll say that. Like looking at this, you're like, oh shit, he just put a cone on his head. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a an interesting design. Um, I guess maybe to block the sun from bald heads, perhaps out there in the mountains. I couldn't really say what the purpose of that style of hat is, but it is traditional Albanian, and we don't have that many Albanians in the organization. So shout out to Ramiz Berhimai for representing Albania and New York, because he might be Albanian, but that dude is a fucking New Yorker when you
Yeah, you
hear him
hear his
talk, dude.
yeah. When I look at him, I'm like, that voice does not match. But man, you could tell that he grew up in New York. Like holy shit, Jesus
Bro,
Christ.
he sounds like so many people I knew from the hip hop circles, man. Just,
Right.
like, oh, bro, this, that, blah, 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 really like tough New York kind of guy. I was like, okay, man, Ramiz Brahima, a real deal dude. And he certainly spoke a whole lot of time when he was on the cage having a very long conversation with the commentary team, even though he had an interview coming up like 3 minutes later.
I love you, Dana. Like I appreciate this opportunity. It was a pretty good moment. I actually like that because he's done that in every one of his fights. Even when even in the post fight speech, he even admitted like I've been in some positions where I've fucked up. Like they probably should not have signed me back or whatever. It's things like that that makes somebody likable and it makes you want to root for them. It's like, man, this is a person who's not perfect. They admit their mistakes and they just want to have a job, bro. He just wants to fight people and he obviously wants to do it really, really fast. So fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing not to like. I think. I mean, it's almost the same that I thought about Jordan Levitt. I'm like, hearing the guy talk, being humble, always goes a long way with me. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Keep going out there and getting wins, man. I mean, that's really the name of the game, and do it in emphatic fashion and be a cool guy. You go far in the sport.
100%.
Well, that takes us to what would have been our co-main event and ends up being our main event of the evening: Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. As a main event, kind of a little bit of a thud on this one. I thought it wasn't a bad fight, but it was basically the as expected of a performance from Gamrot as I could have predicted. I mean, like he goes in there and uses his weight. Struck a little bit just to show that he can, but this was pretty down the line Gamrot performance, in my opinion.
I think it's very interesting because I thought this fight with all the fight cancellations, they should have said, "Can you guys go 5? Can you guys go 5? Make up for the time slot." They should have said yes. Then this becoming a main event would have been decent because Gamrot was pretty damn gassed towards the end of this fight. And to be fair, that's kind of interesting because Gamrot is somebody who's known he can go 5. Like he's done it with plenty of different people. He's switched up. He's gone 3 in between it. A lot of champions they fight a lot of 5-round fights, and then when they get back to the 3-round fight, they can't get going early enough because they're expecting 2 more rounds. Gamrot has never had that issue, in my opinion. He beat Dan Hooker, whatever you want to say, but he beat Arman Sarukian. A lot of people don't agree with that, but it is the facts right now. And he did win this fight by being dominant for the first 2 rounds and didn't let Ludovic do anything. And I think this was a major flop on Ludovic's part. I mean, he's been calling out his top rank for a little bit, and they even said it on commentary, like he called out the Gamrot fight for a while, and they finally made it for him. It's like, well, this is what happens when the 7th ranked guy faces a non-ranked guy. He gets mopped for 3 rounds, and there's potentially some sort of light that you can see maybe in the beginning or maybe in the end from the opponent. But other than that, the dude just easily wins because he knows he can do the winning method. There's nothing different coming.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to address the point of this going to the main event and being a 5-rounder, they didn't know that the main
Yeah.
event was canceled at the time. So
No. I think this should have been a 5-round fight, even with
oh yeah,
the.
just have it as a co-main, be a 5-rounder either.
I think
Yeah.
it makes. Not that it makes sense for Ludovic being unranked, kind of deal, but like, there's a lot of interesting circumstances. Like, we have 10 fights going on. Can you guys go 5? Like,
Yeah.
please. Like, we don't want to have 40 minutes of Macy Barber promotion. Like,
Understandable. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, it certainly could have been different if it had been a 5 rounder. In the 3 rounds that we got, it really was the Gamrot show for a lot of it. And I agree with you. I do think that this is a bit of a whiff on Klein's part because, he's a dude who has had some pretty solid successes, but then, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back for the guy. And this is another step backward, unfortunately.
yeah, Mr. Highlight. I mean, dude, like, I agree that if it was 5, he actually looked the fresher man coming out of the fight. So maybe if there was 5 rounds, I know that's probably not what the company would have wanted, or maybe he even wanted to shoot for. Maybe that's the case, or Gamrot, whatever you want to say. But I think if it were, he probably would have edged it out, towards those later rounds. Gamrot might have got finished, but the fact that it was 3 rounds and the fact that he couldn't implement a game plan early, he didn't come out fired up, ready to fucking keep Gamrot on his toes. You can't shoot because I'm going to fuck you up. I
yeah.
don't know. It's a major, major whiff.
Yeah, unfortunate in that regard. I really, as far as the actual fight itself goes, I really like that kick out of the leg that Gamrot does. He was on his back, on Klein's back, and he like just kind of like does that sort of side like lateral kick out of the leg to try to get him off base a little bit more, just widen the stance out, and either take him down that way or just get better leverage on him. So I really think that that's a nice little move that he does. And I mean, the smother fest for Gamrot extends from round 1 into round 2. This is another one of those fights. It reminds me a bit of Sean Brady's last fight where, he with Leon, where it's just like one long round, because it's like you can break them up, but the same thing happens, like as if the round never ended. So yeah, Gamrot just taking it from round 1 to 2, just grind heavy affair. So good at staying active on the ground as well. Gamrot, he's a dude who really Gamrot knows his wrestling so well that he finds the openings very easily, even if they're not 100% capitalizable all the time. Like he knows, like, if I'm going to get you to this position, I can do 2 hits to the side of the head. And that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take those 2 hits. Then it's going to be the next position because he's not going to stay there for 3 hits. You know what I mean? Like he's very in tune with what he's doing. And I think that that's a big credit to the skills that he has honed in that way. So this really went off without a hitch for him. Round 3 showed off a little bit of well-roundedness on the feet for a second before going back down to the ground, finishing on top. Basically, aside from that little exchange on the feet, this was just him smothering the entire time.
Yeah, I think it was very clear that Ludovic did not have. Excuse me. I don't know if he just didn't have a plan or his plan was to not have to go to the grappling. Like, because instantly we go to the grappling and, you're talking about Gamrot doing these interesting moves. He's got his hands locked. He's kicking. He's doing so many things with his extremities. His head is wide open. Ludovic Klein is not even attempting to do like some elbows, do anything that is going to change the position. He's basically accepting that Gamrot is in this position. Now let's defend it. There's not the step ahead kind of thought there. And I don't know if it was just a miscalculation, but Ludovic just didn't have it, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that ends up being the main event. I mean, I wish that there was more really to talk about with it, but there's just not that much to say. I mean, this was, Gamrot doing exactly what he does best and doing it successfully. So, that rounds out the card. I mean, let's talk a little bit, I guess, about what did not happen, which was supposed to be Aaron Blanchfield versus Macy Barber. You kind of had mentioned a little bit about like what led into the cancellation announcement and all of that. I have a little bit of a breakdown of the timeline here. If you want me to go into it, I can do that.
Definitely go for that. Actually, I'm going to run to the restroom. You break that down for the commentary.
Sure thing. You got it. So starting this thing off as we end up getting towards what would be the announcement of the fight, the final intro promo plays. In this previous fight, the co-main event went to decision, so it's not like there was a larger amount of time to fill, but the promo package plays as it normally does. And then we get to a shot of the apex, dark and silent. It was just one of those sweeping shots. The camera's kind of sweeping across the octagon. It's all dark. We're waiting for walkout music. We don't get it. Fitzgerald gets word that Barber isn't ready to make the walk, but we don't know exactly what's happening at the time. It's just, we're going to go to commercial or whatever. We're figuring out what's going on. Sanko brings up that Macy had missed weight and that she had had many health problems in recent years. DC looks like he's seen a ghost. He is just sitting there in stunned silence. Then they actually do go to the commercial break. We return. Fitzgerald announces the cancellation. DC rambles about how devastating this all is. Aaron Blanchfield might be back there crying, is what he says. We cut to Aaron Blanchfield. She's back there smiling her face off, just like, damn, I can't believe it. DC even said that. He's like, oh, look at her, look at her. She can't believe it. She's in disbelief. It's like, yeah, she is in disbelief, but she's not crying about it. But any which way, they talk it through some more. Aaron ends up getting interviewed by Meg O'Leary, saying that she was told that Macy had had a seizure backstage. So that apparently is what the reasoning was for everything, and that Macy was not medically cleared to fight. So the way that they were framing it was that it wasn't that Macy did not want to fight. She was not medically cleared to fight, had a seizure potentially. That's the word that at least Aaron Blanchfield had gotten. And that's pretty much what happened. So there was some funny stuff in there that I kind of went over while you were gone. But was there anything funny that you wanted to point out with how this announcement all went down?
Well, maybe not necessarily the announcement itself, but I don't know if you made note that Valentina Shevchenko was flown out to the Apex for nothing.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
That was after the fact. They did mention that she was going to be there. She would be watching the fight and then be on the post show to talk it through. And, this fight was potentially going to have some implications for the top of the division, of course. Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have,
Yeah, she's going to fight Whaley, but she might as well take a trip to Vegas. Why not? She looked pretty good. You might as well walk to town.
You're not wrong about that. But I mean, at the same time, Barber was coming in on a 5-fight win streak. So I mean, or even more than that potentially. I forget what before that, but at least 5 fights. She had won coming into that, and then Aaron Blanchfield only had lost to Manon, who just challenged for the belt. So I mean, this is legitimately top of the division stuff going on. Made sense to have the champion there to break it all down, and then instead of actually breaking down a fight, she's having to break down how Aaron Blanchfield feels about not actually getting to fight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that was definitely pretty awkward. Yeah, I don't know necessarily if there's anything else that I would know. You said Aaron, she was the one who speculated that it was some sort of seizure. I believe that's what I heard. It's like Aaron said this. I don't know if I necessarily heard it though.
Yeah, she had said that. I believe it was Hunter Campbell had told her that, either that or Sean Shelby, one of the matchmakers, had said that that's what had happened. So that's coming from her. Macy Barber put out a statement after the fact, but didn't really go into detail about what happened. So just saying that it was a setback. I mean, I would believe Aaron Blanchfield. I don't, she doesn't have any reason to fabricate something like that. And I'm sure if it was fabricated, it would have come out by now that it wasn't the truth. But, either which way, that's what seems to be the case there, is that Barber just wasn't medically cleared to fight and was having some medical stuff happening backstage while she was getting ready to make the walk. And Laura Sanko had talked about how she's had many, many health problems over the last couple of years, did not make weight. There's obviously something going on with Macy Barber in the bigger picture. She says that it's, just a setback. It's not her not having her life together, because Aaron Blanchfield did kind of excoriate her a little bit. She kind of went a little bit hard, pulled no punches in her dialogue after the fight, or lack thereof. But, Barber saying that that's not the case, but we didn't get a fight, so something must be up.
Well, I've said this many times. There was one specific video. I can't remember what it was or who was interviewing Aaron Blanchfield, but she said, I'm always ready. Macy Barber has pulled out plenty of times. I am prepared for her to pull out. It is not going to be a problem for me, type of deal. And that's stuck in my brain. Like, man, she better not pull out. Like, after Aaron put her on the spot, like you can't pull out now. And then she does. I mean, obviously this is something that you really predict. This is something that's never really happened in the moment, kind of deal, that we know of. And, Matt Frivola had a great tweet about it. He was like, I don't, he was responding to a tweet that he made, and he was like, I'm sorry if you took it the wrong way, but this is all about preparation and, being ready and taking care of your body up and coming to the fights. Like, it all leads hand in hand. And maybe he's, a little off, maybe he's somewhat on the point, but I think, it does come down to it. Like, you do got to be prepared.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, it was just an odd set of circumstances that led into all of this, and yeah, an unprecedented situation with the main event being canceled mere moments before it was supposed to take place. We did have a co-main event canceled about an hour
Mhm.
before it was supposed to take place recently. So, hopefully, this is not a trend that continues to happen, but it is what it is for this one. And I did think it was the last thing I had that was funny about it was that they're giving kudos to the broadcast team and one producer specifically. And DC says, when we were on another network, he couldn't have handled this. He would have been stumbling, fumbling, crying all over himself. But here, he knew what to do. I was like, that's not exactly, maybe a backhanded compliment to an extent. And also, it was that producer's birthday. So, a nice way to wish him a happy birthday.
I did not catch that part. The thing that I was going to say that was decently funny was that DC was like, all right, Laura, you're up. And she was like, and after Macy pulled out, he's like, go on, get in there. I was
Yeah,
like, man, hey, hey, I agree. Get her in there. Fuck it. Let's go.
it's true. We were saying that on the watch along, and the chat was saying that she should just be like the ever ready backup for a female opponent that pulls out. Just
I
have her
would
fight get
not be
ready.
opposed if Anthony Smith was a full-time commentator, but at any time there was a pullout for somebody near his weight, he was in. Like I would be okay. Get Dan Ige on the fucking desk too, god damn it. And at any point you need a fill-in, he will do it. I would not be opposed to this. He has to be ringside though. He has to be ready at all times in gear commentating.
Oh,
It's just
okay, all right. Yeah, I'm down with this concept as well, but it's something I guess that they're going to have to workshop because that was not the case here.
listen, if you're gonna have the BMF belt roll around, I tell you a better way to do it. You better be at every fucking card ready to fight whoever pulls the fuck out. Like, whatever.
I like it. That I really like actually. Just have the BMF belt just be the ever ready fill in.
Dude, if you want to be the BMF, you might want to just be at every fucking card ready to fight. I mean,
I
you would be the BMF to me if that was the case. I'll
I
tell you
think
that.
Max Holloway said it best himself, talking about the BMF belt. The warriors of ancient Greece and Rome didn't worry about weight. You were either a warrior or you weren't. So
Bro, I can just imagine it. It would be so great for him to have his own little throne, right? And he would sit there and just mean mug the fucking don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. I'm coming. I will be in there to anytime
that's
someone
right.
gets knocked out, he finishes the fight for him too. Now we're on to something.
All right. Well, all of that aside, an unfortunate end to this card, kind of ended with a thud and a whimper. No bang on the end of this thing, but that was UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Barber, or UFC Fight Night Gamrot versus Klein, I guess is another way to look at it.
True.
All things considered, everything that we have talked about at to this point, Chase, what were your overall perceptions of this card, and what does all of these circumstances, what does it mean for the current station that we find ourselves in with these Apex cards, with the number of events that we have? Because that conversation has been going around a whole lot because of this card. Oh, this card sucks so bad. Oh, we should have less events. It needs to be less events with better quality. Yada yada yada. Give me your thoughts.
I think once again, this is an Apex card, so people are down the line. Nobody's gonna remember how bad this was, just because they're just like they're not gonna remember how good some of the Apex cards were. But this one right here is definitely monumental. And going forward, I mean, there is 7 straight UFC cards that are not at the Apex. So that is key to note that they gave us the shittest one before they gave us, 7 good ones probably. But I mean, it is what it is. I've always liked the Apex, and I'm telling you, there's a reason that you can turn this on and having a good time because they don't know what be going on in their own facility. They're just like, Macy Barber's gone. It's like, brother, you're 20 feet away from her. Like, what are you talking about? Go walk over there yourself, Brendan. I don't know.
Right. True. Yeah. I guess that there is something to be said there, perhaps. I think that my thing with this is that shout out to Didgery Dave, a chatter in the watch along, sometimes on the podcast as well. Good dude. He was saying, I like the way that he said it. He was like, more fights is always better than less fights in his opinion. That I is an opinion I share. I'm all, you
Mhm.
know, I like seeing people fight each other. That's what I want. So you know, I'm always going to want that. So I'm okay with there being a lot of events. What I think that this card said more to me, it was more of a reflection about what happens when you do have that amount of events with the level of fighter that you're putting on it, because we saw, in addition to all the fights that got canceled and changed around, some of it was visa issues, some of it was weight misses. There are a lot of different reasons why things were falling apart. And so it's like a little bit of a perfect storm for this one card. But the amount of cards that you have increases the amount of potential times for these things to happen. So, yeah,
Mhm.
there were a lot on this one card, but you got to think about like the fact that the more cards that you're filling up with a varying degree of fighter that you're putting on it, there's more potential for these types of things to happen. And that would be slightly concerning to me. So I think that there is a little bit of a professionalism aspect that needs to come into play here with some of these fighters. Like, if you are going to be in this organization, you need to come in, make your fight, make weight, and be healthy. Like
Mhm.
that's the bare minimum as entry to this organization, because as the premier of this sport, that's what you should be expecting every time.
Yeah, I kind of agree that there should be a higher standard for a lot of these fighters. Like for things that, like, oh, he's got staff. It's like, why are we not figuring this out? Science. Like there was a fighter, I forget who it was, but he sent a picture of the laminate that they give you at the weigh-ins, and it's the little scientific breakdown on how to rehydrate. It's like, where's that on not to get stupid injuries or fucking cut on your face during sparring? Like, I don't know. Like, there's just a lot of things that I'm just like, shouldn't we have it down by now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unpredictability in
I get
training.
it.
We get that. You know, I mean, that is part of the deal as well. So it's like it is one of those things that it's hard to account for every single thing that could happen. But weight misses are not something that are outside of your control generally. I mean, unless there's a heavily extenuating circumstance. It's just little things that all add up to a card like this. I think if you trace back all of the things that went wrong to get us to where we got here, there is lessons that can be learned from this. There's teachable moments within this. And if we're going to continue to have fights every single weekend, the potential for these types of things are just going to be baked into the cake.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I agree.
yeah. So, you know, I mean, overall with it though, I would say that this was not the worst card that we have ever seen, even
It
even with all that.
it was goofy. That's why it was entertaining. Like, I
Right.
mean, it was kind of like watching a cartoon for 6 hours. So
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would still put this at least on par with the Sydney card, you know, as far as the quality of the fights that we did get. You know, there were some decent performances. You got two people getting put to sleep. That was pretty cool. Saw a knockout from Dustin Jacoby. I mean, there was value here, is what I'm
I
trying to
mean,
say.
if you're comparing it back to the Sydney card, I mean, sure, maybe if you remember what that card was like, but you got to remember the more recent Apex cards have been bangers, and this kind of was also a slop fest, but also had 10 fights. Technically, quote, actually, not technically or quote unquote, 9 fights by the end of the day. Um, I don't know, and there was
Well,
no implications anywhere. That was actually key too. It's like we had a whole card where nothing, there's no narrative, there's no talking being after, like, oh my god, what's next for him? It's like, bro, Mateus Gamrot smoked an unranked dude. What do you think is next for him? Another fucking guy, like, who, I don't know, like, it's nobody.
yeah. I mean, you know, there's always some information to be gleaned in some capacity. We know that Alice Ardellion's not going to get cut. You know, I mean, something like that. Yeah, now I know, is that groundbreaking or needle moving information? Perhaps not. Perhaps it's not the most important thing in the world, but you do at least learn something from some of these. Um, in the big picture, maybe not an earth-shattering amount of information, but I think that I don't know. Again, just for the love of fighting, I think it was fine. And you know, I just don't see much problems here. I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't like that it went down the way that it did, of course, but you know, as far as like just being hard to get through, it certainly was not that.
No, I mean, you're a liar. There's so many promotions for Macy and Aaron. Like, I know so much useless information now. I mean, Aaron has been apparently Aaron's been training for pro MMA since she was 6, and she trains with Fatima Klein. Like, I don't even fucking know, bro. It was a lot to take in for a fight that I never even got to see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, unfortunate there, perhaps. But either way, that is what we end up with. Hopefully, that will not be a trend for, cards going forward. We've been hearing the narrative a lot, at least in discussion circles, about the quality level of these cards. The interest level of the executive team has been questioned a whole bunch lately. I mean, people are still talking about how Dana's one foot out the door. He's checked out. He doesn't care about MMA anymore. I don't know how much stock anybody really puts in that kind of stuff, but I just want to see good quality matchups with people going out there and putting their all on it. And I think that we got a little bit of that out of this card at the very least.
Yeah, we definitely had some people who wanted to win their show money and win money. So I'll give
Right.
them that.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that is just about it for the fight night. Let's take a little bit of a trip over to the next event coming up, which is a pay-per-view. But before we do that, actually, Chase, I did want to mention, because we are the other organization keepers of information around here. You had sent a tweet to me today that I thought was very interesting regarding the GFL. Did you have that handy?
No, I did not have it handy. I'm so sorry. You told
Oh.
me to have it handy, but I thought you just meant to bring it up. I apologize. But
Okay, not a problem. But why don't you paraphrase it then at least?
Yeah, so it was a tweet, and it was basically discussing that the GFL contracts that were between, some people like Weedrum, Faber, Junior Dos Santos, Paige Van Zandt. Some of these characters were getting paid between 1.2 million and 1.7 million. Which is a crazy number. Other contracts between 70. I love how this is the way that the tweet said it. It says $70 and 250, and then in quotations 1,000. So I was like, $70. Holy shit! The GFL was really killing these guys. But like, wow, no, that was really funny. So yes, between 70 and 250,000 is what their underlings would be making.
Right. So yeah, the summation of all of that is that, like, the top level guys were promised between 1.2 and 1.7 million. Lower level fighters in the GFL were promised between 70,000 and 250,000.
Yes.
So the long and the short of why we bring this up is to confirm basically what the suspicion already was, is that this GFL executive team was writing checks with their mouths that their asses could not cash.
You don't know who that last investor was, dude. He was paying the contracts. They, the other 5, they were like, we'll get the venue, we'll tell you the date, we'll tell you where to go, we'll supply the food if he pays for the contracts. And he was like, oh, fuck that. I'm already paying 500 million for 17 people. Whoa. And 50 of them, 50 of the underlings are fucking 50 as well. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was definitely doomed, regardless of that final investor. But that final investor was certainly the nail in the coffin on at least the first event. But so yeah, we were talking about it a little in the Discord, saying that all of those fighters didn't see a dime potentially from this. I mean, like, they might have gotten a couple grand max as a contract retainer, but that's just basically just to say, okay, we're going to contract with you. Here's some money to keep you on the line.
Yeah, make it official that you are hired by us. As
correct,
of right now.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, this is a big piece of information as to, like, how the back end of the GFL ended up falling apart. So just wanted to at least mention that, since we've been keeping an eye on all these outside organizations and trying to report on it as much as we can. That is essentially what was promised to these fighters and what was definitely not delivered on.
100%. Yep, I agree. It's sad that we had a 2-show event that we didn't even get one day of. So
yeah, that does hurt. We will never get the epic matchup between Tony Ferguson and Dylan Dennis.
Was the leader of Fire Festival the last investor? Let me know.
Fire Fest or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they call that shit.
Yeah,
he was the last investor. They should have known better.
Yeah, for sure. He very well might have been, right? That was the dude that ended up fighting in Karate Combat.
Listen, if you're listening, Dana Brown, I can do better than him. I'll tell you.
And he's already got an opponent lined up and ducking him. So, yeah, Dana Brown, make it happen. Chase Parton
President
is,
Awesome, brother. Come on, let's go. Let's get it going. I've
yeah,
already reached out to your co-founder, and he don't want to admit that it's him. So
all kinds of interesting craziness going on at Karate Combat as well. But that's your GFL update. So let's get into UFC 316 here. Dvalishvili versus O'Malley 2. Starting this thing off with the main event, Merab Dvalishvili and Sean O'Malley going at it for a second time. Are things going to be different, Chase? A lot of people think that they will be.
if you want to be on the assumption that Sean O'Malley was injured and he's going to put on a different performance, then there's maybe something to, there's something there. You can plus money on Sean O'Malley plus 230, whatever it is. Decent if you want to believe that there's a different performance coming and he wasn't injured. If you believe Merab Dvalishvili is the GOAT bantamweight, has one of the best resumes that we've seen in the bantamweight division, he probably gets this one done again. But I would not be surprised if judging slights it to Sean O'Malley because they gave him some ludicrous scorecards on the first fight, and then they would definitely, rig it for him on this one just to get a fucking trilogy going. So
Maybe. I mean, I think that there is a whole lot of wishful thinking slash cope going on when it comes to the Sean O'Malley support camp on this one. I don't think that there is going to be a single thing that is different about this fight to what we saw in the first fight. Yeah, O'Malley wants to say that he was injured. Headspace was not there. He is taking this camp a lot more seriously. He quit weed. He's off porn, whatever. He's off social media. He's doing all this other stuff. Give me a break. I don't care about any of this. The only thing that is of concern to me going into this fight was the toe injury of Merab. That was a little concerning to me because there was some pretty gnarly footage that was going out there. I almost thought that one video might have been a prank where there was bone sticking out of the
that
bottom.
was an old one. That
Oh,
was
okay.
way
Thank
old.
God.
No, but he
All
did
right.
fuck his toe up, but it wasn't that bad. It was just
Okay.
probably a little fracture.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank God that that's the case because, yeah, that was concerning to me. But I mean, yeah, as far as any other set of circumstances going into this fight, I see nothing different happening. I think that Merab is of the caliber and quality of fighter that is and has now proven himself to be dominant and will remain dominant. I think he goes in with the exact same strategy and game plan that he always has. He does the exact same things. I think he has the same amount of fun that he always does in his fights, big smile on his face the entire time. And unless O'Malley can somehow connect with the one shot, the knockout, the one shot knockout power, blah, blah, blah. And if he can't pull that off, which he was not able to do the first time, I see this being a down the line repeat of the first fight.
I can kind of agree, but I think the judging will keep it close. So I think if Merab doesn't get a finish, it's starting to get worrisome. But we'll see what happens. Sean has always been told to have some crazy jujitsu that he just never has to use. I've seen 3 fights, maybe not 3 fights. Sorry, 1 fight necessarily. The one with Aljo, he didn't have to use it, but like I was supposed to see it there.
I mean, he did evade takedowns pretty well in that fight, so I guess you could say that there's something to be said for that aspect of it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but you see the difference in the takedowns between a bumbling fool who just trips into you and runs with his head down, and then somebody who actually feints takedowns and sets them up with his striking like Merab. I mean,
right.
Sean O'Malley isn't able to escape that. He gets put up again. Injury aside, at the time, that's what we've seen. Could not escape the takedowns from Merab.
Sure. And I mean, I think that you kind of answered the question a little bit by saying that he's not a finisher, but I do want to address this because I do think it's a good question. Toby coming in asking, honest question, why are we hesitant to call Merab the bantamweight GOAT at this point? Is it because of his lack of finishes?
No, I mean, I just think it's because I haven't seen him be champion long enough. That is exactly what it is. The resume stands, but now he has to actually get the accolades to match up with it.
I think that maybe then my answer would be a hybrid of the two of those. Then is that because he's not a finisher, he's going to have a little bit more of an uphill battle when it comes to getting people's heads around the idea of him being the GOAT, I would say. Because, look, the sport is still about the flash. It's still about the pageantry. It's still about the entertainment value of it. So even if people are seeing a resume that is, stacked with wins through 5+ years, 10 years worth of wins, it's like, oh yeah, but I mean, is he really that good? Yes, the answer is yes. Obviously it is, but people want to see him go out and be dominant in his wins, not just get the wins by decision and smile a whole bunch.
I mean, if Marab isn't dominant in his wins, I know that's not necessarily what you mean, but if Marab isn't dominant in his wins, then I don't know what he is, because he's definitely winning these fights. This is 2 title defenses now. He'll pick up a third, and then I mean, hesitant is not the way that I would frame it. Is I haven't been here long enough to understand the bantamweight division. All I know is Aljo was, at the time, people could say he was the bantamweight GOAT. Sean came in and beat him, but then lost his belt, after one title defense. So I can't say the dude who beat the GOAT is the new GOAT or whatever, but Marab, the resume is lining up for somebody who's one of the greatest. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's really more him versus Dominic Cruz is the conversation, I would think.
true.
But yeah, I mean, and Dominic Cruz, able to finish his fights. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least more so than Marab has. Then that's what I was saying. Yeah, you're right. I mean, has he been dominant in his fights? Probably a poor way to phrase it from me. Yeah, of course he's been dominant in his fights.
Yeah.
Obviously he has. But I mean, people want to see him finish. They want to see him, getting the iconic image of him, standing up after a dude is laid out cold. They want to see him, coming up off of a dude being put out cold by a submission. There are factors in there that make it a more robust conversation than just yes he is or he is not. But he goes back and beats Sean O'Malley for a second time. I'd say that should be good enough. I would say maybe one more defense after that, because he's already fought Sean, would be absolutely enough to solidify him as the GOAT. I think he's on. If he's not already the GOAT to a lot of people, he should be right on the cusp.
I think what's also key to note with Marab, and if you want to talk about his legacy, is that there's always going to be the question, what if he actually did fight Aljo? If he wanted to fight Aljo a while ago and beat him, he probably could have had the belt for a while now. That's one of those what if situations, of course. But Marab has the belt and he's defending it, so it makes you think, oh, if he was younger, I mean, he probably should do that exact thing. I mean, you get it at 33 or 34, whatever he was at the time. That's not young, but experience is needed. But you would assume a couple fights ago, if he would have actually been able to challenge the champ and not been buddy best friends with him, he probably would have taken that belt.
Yeah, you make a great point with that. Is very true. Marab did himself no favors when it comes to the loyalty to friends, as far as that the GOAT conversation goes. He still has a chance and is doing it now to prove himself to still be that. But the what if scenario with Aljo is always going to loom over this conversation, and that's a fact.
Some people have the what if. It's like, what if Michael Jordan didn't retire for those 2 years? What if somebody didn't? What if GSP didn't retire for those 4 years, whatever it was? It's something like that. What if Anderson Silva didn't break his leg? Stuff like that.
It's a good point.
And I think this is also to the legacy. I mean, you don't have stories like that. You don't have a mystique building around you being the average fucking guy. Marab being a great fighter, being one of the people that you can questionably say is the GOAT, and then have the backstory to back it up. Like, dude, he could have even actually had it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He could have had it during the COVID times, whatever you want to say. I mean, I think it just adds to it. Marab might actually be just that guy that I'm thinking he is.
Same. Yeah. Until I see otherwise. I mean, I'm like, he has shown time over time that he has all of the tools to do what he needs to do with this thing. So, I mean, I think that, that there really is not going to be much more debate about it if he gets another couple of defenses.
I agree.
This one with Sean and maybe one more, and
it's got to be another person. Yeah.
Right.
I can't really classify 2 defenses. Well, not 2 defenses, but you get the belt against somebody, and then the defense being against the same person. If you beat him, it still just classifies as, okay, you took the belt from him. That's not really a defense, in my opinion. It is, but at the same time, for the name's sake, I need to see you beat 2 other people for the belt, not just one person twice.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the same reason why there should be more respect being placed on Alexandre Pantoja's name. But that's a whole other conversation.
I agree.
So then final verdict on this. You think that it's going to be a repeat?
I'm going to take Marab.
Same.
In my heart, I'll take Marab.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Money
yeah.
wise, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Really. I mean,
My
yeah,
decision
there
is
might
gonna
be.
be looking.
Yeah, I was gonna say there might be some value there for they got plus 235 for O'Malley on this book. Yeah, I mean, secondary parlay perhaps, but I'm definitely not putting any kind of craziness on it.
100%.
All right, co-main event, also title fight here. Juliana Pena defending against Kayla Harrison. Finally, Kayla getting her big shot at the belt. What are we thinking?
This one is tough because I do honestly think that Kayla Harrison is not as good as we perceive her to be. I don't think, but that being said, is that good enough to be the champion of the women's division and beat Juliana Pena? I don't think that's the hardest task because Juliana Pena is not somebody that I think is the greatest skill set. She is very determined to get the belt, and she has shown that she's got a lot of will, she's got a lot of heart, and she's willing to fight whoever. So shout out to her for that. The champion coming in at a plus 425 is pretty insane.
Wild.
Especially because I figured Vegas would kind of be onto it, like maybe coin flip or maybe like where Kayla is huge and she is, dominant when she gets to do what she wants. But I also want to make a note. Shout out to Elite. Shout out to Mank. He made a point that I didn't know this, so maybe ridicule me if you really want to. In championship fights, there is no extra pound. It is you make the exact weight. I did not know this.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
Kayla Harrison actually has been making the 136 or whatever. That last pound it might be crucial for her. I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, the weight cut is always something that is a note of conversation when it comes to Kayla. The hardest test for her is always making the weight. So if she comes in at champion weight, then I mean, we'll see if there's an issue there, then that could potentially throw this fight into to jeopardy, but or turn it into a non-title fight, which would be terrible. But assuming that she makes weight, I think that the issue, we were talking about this on the watch along a little bit. I think that the issue here is that Pena has fought the highest levels of this sport, even beyond Kayla Harrison has.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a lot of experience because of that. Now, I mean, a lot of people thought that she did not win the fight that she won the belt in just recently. I mean, this last go around of it.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is potential there for her to get muscled around. Perhaps. I think that this is a very, shout out to Toby on that too. He's saying that this is a 50-50 here. I mean, I think that Pena coming in at that big of a dog certainly is attractive to me. I mean, I think that the experience might be able to trump it. If she's able to stuff those takedowns, it's going to be a very long 5 rounds for Kayla.
You guys got to remember, Kayla Harrison doesn't have fucking hands. She can only reach out and grab people and try to trip them. That is all her moveset entails until she gets them to the ground. She will reach out and probably get popped up by Juliana. Juliana's going to run forward and throw 5 or 6 punches that are just coming straight from her face and probably get Kayla Harrison on the back foot at least once or twice. But Kayla, she's not a shoot from distance type of wrestler. She's a judo throw wrestler. So she has to get in the clinch situation and be able to get the hands tied around the wrist or around the waist, whatever you want to say, and then, get the trip. I just think Juliana might be too wise to that. She does fall and flail on her back very often. I would not be surprised if the first judo trip that comes, you see both of her legs just fucking in the air. But that's kind of where she thrives. She might actually just get it done. These are 2 old women, and wow, I don't know. I'm just in awe for what I'm about to witness on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the biggest piece of homework that you can do over the course of this week is go back and find out the exact number of times and effectiveness of Juliana Pena stuffing takedowns. And if her takedown defense is up to snuff in your mind, then I think that there is a lot of value on her as that big of a dog. Absolutely. I mean, Kayla is going to go in there. She's shown the cracks in her game. I mean, like we were talking about this with the Ketlin Vieira fight. I mean, like that was really the most telling fight of them all because that was the time where she was not able to have the fight that she wanted and she barely skated by getting that decision in that fight. I mean, she ended up getting it. That's certainly true, but she certainly did not look superhuman, which she had
Yeah.
looked a lot before that. And I think that Juliana Pena is just one of those people that is able to be disruptive enough to get the job done. I'm telling you, I mean, a lot of people would say that it shouldn't play as much of a factor. In my mind, I think that I'm on the right track with thinking that the experience of fighting and defeating the greatest women's fighter of all time should play a little bit of a role in the way you're looking at this thing. You're laughing at me. What are you laughing at?
I mean, bro, that finish was it had I don't care. I'll get an immediate rematch and whoop your ass written all over it. Like I don't know, bro.
Hey, whatever, man. In the moment, it made me a ton of cash. So I'm thinking that right now could be another time that we end up seeing Juliana Pena pull out a victory that a lot of people are not going to like. It could be another one where it's like, oh man, she barely did anything, but she did stay on her feet though, like that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. Do your homework on this one and find out the takedown, negation percentage or whatever.
I have slowly been becoming a fan of Juliana Pena just because I've not been buying what Kayla Harrison is selling. Juliana Pena, though, she's not doing any more than just talking shit. She don't say that she's gonna come out here and do anything other than I'm gonna talk shit and I'm gonna run these little girls off. Like that's all her game plan is, and I can only respect it at the end of the day. Kayla Harrison talking about Hellbows. I ain't seen them. I ain't
Never, not
seen
one.
nothing. So that's the nuts thing about this, Juliana Pena. I'm really praying for you. And I don't know. It's not that I don't like Kayla Harrison. There still is the stigma that she came from another organization. Is she as good as we think she is? I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you for sure Amanda Nunes will whoop the fuck out of her, though. So she better not win this belt because she ain't going to have it for long. I tell you that as soon as she wins, Amanda Nunes is going to fucking hop out the crowd. Like they're not even going to know she's there. Like she's watching. Guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, Amanda comes back and whips them both,
Yeah.
with a Dole Whip.
Well,
But I mean,
well, to be honest, but she's not coming back for Pena. That's the pretty crazy part. Is she keeps saying that she's ready to come back and she's coming back and one more, a couple more, whatever. She's waiting for Kayla to win so she can come beat Kayla.
right.
Juliana Pena though doesn't do anything for her legacy. Kayla Harrison though is looked at upon as like this could be the GOAT woman. This could be somebody who's taking Amanda's throne kind of deal. Juliana Pena though, bro. Nothing. She's got nothing to Amanda Nunes. Losing to her once and coming back and smoking her proves everything. It's like, I'll just throw it away. I'll get it back. You tap out real quick. We'll run it back in 6 months and I'll whoop you. So,
All right. Well, I mean, remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out after this fight. But final verdict then. What are you going with?
I'm going to say Juliana Pena by round 4 sub since the script said
The script
so.
doctor over here. Shout out to Toby, man. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I highly doubt that Pena is going to be able to submit Kayla Harrison. That does not seem likely to me, but I do think that she's going to be able to grind out a sloppy, annoying 5-rounder where she's able to, point fight her way and stuff takedowns her way to a victory here. So I think for that money, I mean, like it's a very attractive plus next to Juliana Pena for that amount. I would say that there is value there. As far as actually taking the prediction, it's really hard to say because I do think Kayla is very good, but I think that she's shown the cracks in the game to lead me to believe that she's not at the level just yet. I think she still could be at some point, perhaps, but even though she is, 34, she should be now. But either way, I think that Pena should take this.
It is very interesting that the way the women's divisions are set up, there's only 3 of them, but they somehow solidify, when you got the little guys, you got the regular size guy, you got the big guys. Somehow the 3 women's divisions, they accurately depict that because the bantamweight division by far right now, excluding Amanda Nunes, is the least skilled women's division. And you would presumably assume, okay, that's like the heavyweight guys. Like they're just there to slug. Like they don't need the skills. They're just there to knock each other out. The women don't have that power, but they're also just sluggish and they don't have the skill set that the smaller women are equipped with. This division, we may not like what we're seeing, but what we're seeing is the top competition. It may not be like, I can tell you there's plenty of other better female fighters than these two, but this is the top of the division for what we're seeing. And I think it's just, unfortunately, I think it kind of equates to fucking heavyweight males. Like, bro, I don't know. Like, it's tough.
Yeah, yeah. It certainly could use a shakeup, and it would be nice if Kayla Harrison could be that shakeup. So, I mean, if she gets the job done, I think it would actually be a nice shot in the arm to the division. But I just, Juliana has just she's one of those people that like she finds a way. She is entertaining to listen to. There was a great page back in the day on Facebook. I know I'm a borderline boomer for saying anything Facebook related, but it was called MMA Logic. I used to love this page. It was a dude who broke down MMA in a very rational, logical, very intelligent way, and he was always saying that Juliana Pena is the best women's mouthpiece in the organization. I still think that kind of rings true today. So I'm not as much of a hater as some people are, even though I do think it was very, very close, the fight that she won the belt in just recently. And again, she's been around for so long. The experience is there. I think the experience is what's going to carry her through.
I agree. I think I'm praying she gets this done. This would be a good one.
Yeah, dude, at plus 425, I think the entire world would be praying for that.
True.
If they're going for her. So, yeah. So, all right, then that's that. Moving on down, the fight that was supposed to take place in Mexico has been rebooked. Kelvin Gastelum versus Joey Pfeiffer. What do you think, sir?
I think now that UFC Noche is not in Guadalajara, give Joe Pfeiffer another chance to put on a performance for the Mexican crowd. Seriously, it's in Texas this time or whatever. He can go there. He will not blame the United States this time. But
he would get booed mercilessly if he that would actually be really funny.
I would hope. I would really hope. Either way, Joe Pfeiffer versus Kelvin Gastelum is a fight that the UFC is one of these matchups that the UFC just could not stop wanting to make. We've seen fights get canceled and we're like, holy shit, that's a fucking banger. Like, why did that not come true? And then we see fights like this. It's like, this is not a banger. Why can't you just move on? Like, this one is so shitty because, one, in every picture I have to look at Kelvin Gastelum, he looks like a refrigerator.
It's true.
Two, there's just nothing that I'm excited to see out of this matchup. Joe Pfeiffer going to punch, Kelvin Gastelum going to look like fat guy. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean Gastelum. If you're not watching the show right now and just listening, the picture of Kelvin Gastelum on ESPN is like the prototypical picture of him, and he looks just so bulky. And Kelvin Gastelum is a dude who is like by design, like missing weight. Like his body type just lends itself to weight misses. And then he does himself no favors by being the guy who is just comfortable missing weight all the time. Like I have always disliked Kelvin Gastelum for this reason. Like he's one of those dudes that had a lot of potential had he just been a professional. He does not take his career very seriously. He's a dude who is falls back on the skill set that he has ingrained in himself without all of the surrounding elements of his career being considered, and that bothers the hell out of me. So for that reason, I would like to see Joe Pfeiffer win.
Yeah.
What's actually going to happen, though, Kelvin Gastelum is a pretty goddamn skilled guy, and if he does come in overweight, going to be another advantage for him. He's unfortunately, because he is so adept at missing weight at this point, he utilizes it to his advantage because Kelvin Gastelum's never coming in missing weight because of a bad weight cut or because of an injury or because of a sickness. No, he's missing weight because he's a fucking unprofessional bastard. So, I mean, so that's, I think if he comes in here not giving a fuck, yeah, I'll come in 3 pounds overweight. Who cares? And then, Pfeiffer's got a big problem on his hands. So I'm going to go with Kelvin Gastelum just because I think he's the more skilled fighter out of the two. But that's only because he does not take himself as seriously in other aspects. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think this one also is interesting because Joe Pfeiffer has shown to gas out a couple different times. The one time that he's gone like deep waters kind of deal, shown to gas out. But he does have the power. So will he be the first to knock out Gastelum? I don't know. Will Gastelum somehow find a way to not get finished long enough where Joe Pfeiffer throws his gas tank out the window? I don't know. I don't believe that. I think Joe Pfeiffer finishes him. Not gonna lie. First to knock him out.
Yeah, I'm definitely not agreeing with that. I mean, I think that Joe Pfeiffer losing to Jack Hermanson speaks very, very high volumes as to what you can expect out of a better class of opponent for Piper.
Dude, Kevin Gastelum. Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that Gastelum and Hermanson are not the same type of fighter, but I would say that, I mean, Gastelum is a Hall of Famer now, brother. Like it or not, you know what I mean? Like he's in the Hall of Fame for a fight with Israel Adesanya. Of course, Toby referencing that in the chat. I mean, this dude has been around, seen a whole hell of a lot, and can pull victories out from like deeper range. And I mean, Piper is a younger guy who is, really trying to go out there and make a name for himself. He certainly comes in hot in his fights, but I just think that a more experienced fighter is going to be able to weather the storm, take him into the later rounds. Not going to be able to do it.
I remember having the same conversation. I don't know if it was with you. We probably were doing the show at the time, but Kelvin Gastelum is one of these dudes that you'll say he has all these skills and he's good at a lot of different things and he's a Hall of Famer. But then when it comes down to it, and he's never been, this or that, and then Sean Brady wrestles him down to the ground and subs him, and then Joe Pyfer comes out here and knocks him out. It's like, I just want to know when we accept that the age and the time past Kelvin Gastelum, the time has passed.
But that's the thing, is that, like, okay, if Joe Pyfer comes in and knocks him out, conversation changes immediately. But the fact that Gastelum has done what he has been able to even stay relevant through all of his bullshit, I think speaks to the level of skill that he has. So I'm saying he doesn't take anything else seriously, but he does have a solid core base of things that work. And I mean, you talk about Sean Brady. Joe Pyfer is not Sean Brady.
He trains with him. So he's better.
I don't give a fuck. I don't care. There are levels, and Pyfer has not reached that level yet, in my opinion.
Joe Pyfer does have a few subs on his record. I will also say that I think it's likely that I want to say finish is what I want to go with, because I think he might sub him also. I mean,
I think you just want to believe that Pyfer is a finisher, is what's happening here.
I mean, he is. He definitely is.
He is. I mean, it's not that he hasn't gotten finishes, but I'm telling you, I mean, if he loses to a guy at the level of Jack Hermanson, this makes me question. This gives me pause.
That was also a skyrocket moment. This is a dude who 2 fights ago was on the Contender Series, and that was a Contender Series rematch after he broke his arm in the original Contender Series fight. 2 fights later, he's in a 5-round fight against Jack Hermanson. He gets worked, of course. I mean, that's a skyrocket if I've ever seen it. And it's against a savvy vet. I would expect anybody to get schooled the same way that Jan schooled Olberg, in my opinion, but they robbed Jan. I would expect that. Jan's the veteran. He's coming. I know time, and we talk about ring rust, but certain people, they just don't lose it.
But that's my point. You're saying you're making the case for Gastelum right now with what you're saying right there.
I think Joe Pyfer is. Listen, I think there's times in people's careers where they're either up or they're down, and Gastelum is going to be on the down for the rest of his now.
Okay. Hey, and that I will accept. If that is the case, if we do see him come in here and just get completely mopped, just get mogged out by Joe Pyfer,
miss 5 pounds and get knocked out, why not?
And look, if I will completely change the tune if all of that is correct. If what I'm thinking happens, then I think that it's the exact opposite. But I will accept that if that is what ends up actually being the case.
I think you also got to just remember, dude, Joe Pyfer is disgustingly massive for this weight class.
That is true.
Kelvin Gastelum is short and fat.
They are both disgustingly massive for the weight class for different reasons.
Exactly. So and I don't know, bro. Joe Pyfer's 28. I mean, he seems like he's physically ready to take the next step. I mean, he takes it serious enough that for as large as he is, he doesn't have weight cut issues. So yeah. I don't know. I think the cards are in Joe Pyfer's favor here.
All right. Hey, look, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, this thing going to decision is going to be an interesting one. If it does, I'm sticking with the guts though. I'm going to take Gastelum in this one, and I'm taking him with the caveat that I am completely 100% ready to be, 360 degrees wrong, 180 degrees wrong.
So, yeah, I hear you.
All right. Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. This is a very exciting one for people who know Patchy Mix. We talked about this one a little bit. You're thinking that Mario Bautista is going to be able to savvy veteran his way through a fight with Patchy Mix, huh?
Well, for the people who don't know about Patchy Mix, including myself, go ahead and break something down for us that would give us some insight on why we should expect him to beat the guy who beat the GOAT of the featherweight division at a time.
Well, Apache Mix coming in from Bellator, 20-1, one loss in his 21 fight career so far. Submission game is on point. He is a very, very savvy technical wrestler and grappler. The dude has finished a lot of Bellator's highest level of talent over there. And the one time that he lost was a fight that was for a belt. And I mean, like, and then I believe he regained that belt, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that fact, but yeah, I mean, he's just a dude that goes out there and knows how to use his hands effectively as far as grappling goes. I mean, he's spatially aware. He's technically proficient. He's a dude who I think that Mario, what I'd said about this fight last time that we talked about it was this is a perfect fight for Apache Mix to come in to the organization with, because Mario Bautista, talking about the Jose Aldo fight, if he's going to try to play the lay and pray, or wall install rather, if he's going to try to get him up against the cage and just hold him there, there's no way in hell Patchy Mix is letting that happen.
I just wanted to do a little breakdown, just to do a little deep dive, because I'm trying to gauge what I'm looking at here with Patchy Mix. His one loss is against a guy who lost to Kai Asakura. Get that. Where does that leave you to believe? Where does that leave you? Is Kai Asakura the type of guy you're like, oh, somebody who beats him should beat Patchy Mix? I don't know. Probably. But if Patchy Mix is that dude, I don't know, unanimous decision loss it kind of does stick out. Like, maybe there's been some selective matchmaking along the way. If the one time that they give him something, he gets smoked, like, I don't know.
But he'd been the champion though. I mean, like I believe that was a loss, and then he regained after that.
He
So
did regain it, but it was against somebody else, it looks like.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, so and he had already been champ, I believe. So I don't know if maybe that was his first time, and then he got it after that. But I mean, this dude yeah. Like, granted, the lens always has to be who did he fight in the other organization. It is Bellator. It's going to be a lower caliber of opponent, but I don't think that Mario Bautista is some super high level, great, amazing fighter. I mean, like, he's not bad. He's certainly not a bad fighter, but that's what I'm loving about this matchup. I think that this is a perfect entry point for him.
I think it's actually pretty interesting, because going back to Mario Batista's debut, he was a very good striker. There's one thing I can tell you about Mario Batista, and you'll notice it if you actually pay attention. He has the strongest forearms you will ever see. The veins are disgustingly popping out of his forearms. This dude, I can tell you, he can choke the life out of cattle. But he
Okay.
also is a very creative striker. He stands on the feet with people that he knows he can. I don't know if you ever remember. It's hard to explain, because he did like a video game move. Somebody threw a leg kick, and it was like he did a little hop, and it just like glided under his feet. And I remember thinking, like, holy shit. This guy's on to something. And then he comes out in this next fight, and he wrestle fucks Jose Aldo. Ref breaks him up 4 times. Nah, fuck that. We're going right back to the cage. You're not doing anything about it. I'll punch you in the thigh. Listen, I don't normally love it, but I know Mario Batista has more to him, and I think this is an opportunity that he might get to show it, because Patchy Mix is like, all right, he's going to wrestle me. He's definitely going to grapple with me. And then Mario Batista comes out and just fucking smokes him with these fucking construction worker forearms he has.
Potential for that to be the case. Yeah, I'm not going to count that out as a possibility, but this is one, like, we were talking about this where I was like, I remember distinctly saying, I am done giving credit to these guys from outside organizations coming into this one. I every time I'm always like giving these guys the leeway. Oh, he was a champ elsewhere, that he's going to come in and smoke him. I'm done doing that. This is the very last time that I'm going to do that. If he loses this fight, it's over and done with. I'm never doing it again. But I believe in my heart of hearts that Patchy Mix is going to come out here and he's going to put on a show against Mario Bautista. I think he's going to go out. I'm thinking Patchy Mix gets this thing done early second round.
This is a guy that would try to stir up shit with Sean O'Malley. I better see something that says, oh, he could beat Sean O'Malley. Like, oh, okay, he's a lot better than what Bellator's name would lead you to believe.
Exactly. And that's what I need to see that too. Like, and that's what I'm absolutely hoping for happening, is that is the case, and that is what we end up seeing. So I'm again ready to to eat these words next Monday, but as of right now, sticking with that. I think Patchy's going to come out here and make a statement.
I'm going with Batista, man. I think the dog money on this is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, for plus 145, you could definitely do worse for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's close to the line. I like the close to the line dogs because Vegas is like, ooh, something's here that we really
Right.
can't gauge. So it is kind of just a coin flip. Who's going to come out better?
Yeah, no, I understand the thought process there as well. So yeah, I mean, and I don't think that it's going to be like a knockdown, drag out, one sided affair. I do think that Bautista will have his moments in that first round, but I think that by round two, even though Bautista does have some good cardio, so he's probably going to be able to last longer. But I just think that Patchy Mix is going to end up getting his hands on him, and if Bautista even attempts the cage cuddling, it's going to be game over.
Can we admit right now, this might be one of the best press conferences that we could get? If you think about already, you got Marab and Sean. That's decent. You got Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison. That's decently enough. They could do their own. Then you got Mario Batista. He likes to talk a little shit. I've seen him do it a couple times. I hope he steals the mic and he's like, hey, women. And then he gets to talk about Patchy Mix. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Kevin Holland and Vicente Luque. I mean, love it. I actually love this right now.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of, let's move on to that fight. Vicente Luque, Kevin Holland. Vicente, a very sizable underdog in this one, even though Vicente is a dude who has consistently proven these odds wrong. Like, he has been an underdog in many of his recent fights, and he has won most of those recent fights.
Still not taking him. I think Kevin Holland is probably going to smoke him on the feet. This is a guy who has a clear disadvantage in the sport. I mean, we saw with Buckley. I mean, once you hit him hard enough, I mean, he's down for the count. Not physically, but mentally, he's like, all right, I got to be out of it. I gotta duck out. But this one right here, Kevin Holland is somebody who has good jiu-jitsu. Vicente is not just going to fucking wrap up his neck. And well, honestly, if he does, I'll be sick. Let me not speak too much because Kevin Holland is the type of dude to fucking put his head in the choke. But for the most part, he gets out of a lot of things. That shit with Gunnar Nelson was pretty legit. So he does have his credentials when it comes to the UFC side of grappling.
Yeah, I mean, Luque is just one of those dudes who goes out there and finds the choke, though, even with slippery fish. You know what I mean? Like, from what I have seen with him, now also granted, there was a time with Vicente Luque where he was dealing with some pretty serious medical issues. Some of that may have been playing a factor in some of the losses that he had, which were kind of making the record a little bit more patchy than it may otherwise have been. But those are all long in the past as far as I know. So at this point, and how many times do we have to say about Kevin Holland, what version is going to show up? Is it going to be the Kevin Holland that takes the fight seriously, or is it going to be goofball, play around, talk to your opponent, Kevin Holland? I cannot back the Kevin Holland horse because of this, and it hurts because I do think that he's a lot better than he almost allows himself to be sometimes. But like, with that, Luque is a dude who has eye on the prize. Go out there, get the job done. Like, he's one of those guys that the submission is coming, but you sometimes can't do anything about it. And that's just where my head is at with it. So I mean, like, Holland is just too much of a wild card. Like, if you want, like, I mean, I'll give a prediction about it, but if you want the most accurate prediction for me is just to stay away from this fight. Like, I think that I even said it when this fight was announced, that this is like betting poison. Like, I would never put any money on this fight personally. Like, keep your money away from this for that exact reason, because Luque is actually going to come out to try to finish. Holland, you never know, but if Holland does try to finish, then it could be. But if Luque is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you go into these like chasing your own tail scenarios with this one.
I just think it's so interesting. Kevin Holland is so much better, like you said, than he allows himself to be. Kevin Holland knocked out Joaquin Buckley like on just a whim. Like, he just walks in the cage and just finishes a dude who we now know is a terror to the division below, kind of deal. Kevin Holland, he'll just go down to the division and fight a couple dudes, come back up, eat a couple cheeseburgers, and like, he's good. And I think it really is, we talk about the characters that people have in this sport, the mystique to some people. It's like Kevin Holland, he really is true to life a BMF. Like, I'm actually surprised that he is not getting an opportunity to fucking get. If Ilya wants to go to fucking give Ilya the belt, he already beat Max. If Ilya wants to go up to welterweight one day, give it against Kevin Holland. I'm okay with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to at least mention right here, right now, just off of the type of fighter that Kevin Holland is, he is one of the guys. We've had this conversation about a couple people in the past. He's a person that I could absolutely see being in the Hall of Fame just because of the mystique and the activity. He'll never touch gold, but he will be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and he's still got plenty of time left with how he maneuvers through the sport. He'll be taken care of. Dana loves our trailblazer here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm a fan too. You know what I mean? Like, I do like the guy. I just wish that he was more consistent. That's all that it is. It makes it hard for me to ever bet on him or against him. It's like, stay away from Kevin Holland fights at this point is really what I've gotten out of Kevin Holland. So like I said, I will make the prediction. I do think that Luque is going to be able to find the submission on him. Kevin Holland does get submitted. We've seen it. We've seen it plenty of times. I think that
by Hamzat.
By RDR.
That was probably fucking ancient. I've never even seen that. So
Rainier?
Oh, I'm thinking of fucking RDA. Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, that must have been crazy. I mean, welterweight, but RDR. No, RDR did something. Yeah, I mean, RDR is pretty damn good though. So.
He certainly is, but I'm telling you,
but
I think
Gunner, listen, but here's the thing, Gunner, who was supposedly the greatest jiu-jitsu guy on planet Earth, he did not finish Kevin Holland in 2 completely locked submissions. So I just think that is key. I think that, and I'm not even trying to, I am trying to make fun of it, and it is funny, but like Kevin Holland showed in that moment, it's like he still just doesn't want to lose fights. Like, he's not going to give up and tap. Like, he's going to lay there and he's going to try to figure it out unless he starts gurgling, and then we start tapping. Then it's an issue.
Yeah, and I just think that Luque has the ability to make that happen. Is what my thought process is. At least
I would actually enjoy seeing that.
All right, so
not more than I enjoy the next fight, but yes, I'm sticking with Kevin Holland.
All right, well, there you go. Well, the next fight, Bruno Silva versus Josh Van. We know how you feel about Mr. Van. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
I mean, obviously, what's going to happen is that Josh Van is going to put a hurting on this dude. This is one of the oldest dudes in the division. He's a striker.
Bruno Silva, excuse me. Sorry, Bruno Silva, not Bruno Lopez.
This is a striker. This is one of the oldest guys in the division. He has been knocked out already. He's been finished a couple times. Josh Van is pillow hands, but this should be the performance where he beats the living life out of Bruno. Ray Saruya is lucky that he's able to grapple and that he got saved by a body kick TKO by the ref, who thought it was a fucking low blow. Bruno Silva probably will get finished by Josh Van. I hate to say this, guys. Josh Van is one of those people that I thought I was really hoping for. Like, this was my guy that I knew of. Like, on the low end, like, he's just skating through and he's making his moves and nobody's paying attention to him. But this motherfucker comes in at a -600 favorite. Like, you can't fucking make this up. I can't even bet on my favorite dude. Like, come on. Like, he's that good. The dude that I told you from day one is that good is actually panning out to be that good in Vegas eyes.
Well,
all I'm saying.
I mean, he's going to be a parlay sweetener, basically, is what I'm seeing from this. I mean, Josh Van, by finish, I think might be a slight stretch, maybe. But Lopez, I keep saying Lopez. It's Bruno Silva. Silva is a dude who I think he maybe might be able to finish, possibly. But I'm thinking Van by decision is probably what's going to happen here.
I think. Yeah, Van by decision is probably likely. Bruno Silva was on his way to lose to decision by Cody Durden, and then he hit him with the uppercut from, Jesus fucking Christ. Charles Johnson did the same thing to Josh Van, but that's not now. Josh Van, he went to the ground in that Charles Johnson fight. I will argue it was a little early. The next fight with Edgar Chavez, we don't go to the fucking ground. We get rocked, we stay on the feet, and we tackle him. And Josh Van... And then in the next performance with Cody Durden, Josh Van is showing great improvements to his game. He's showing how deep the bag can get, and he's also showing you just how good he is, because it's not only like, oh my God, he's defending a takedown. It's like, holy shit, he fucking threw him on his fucking back. Like, he didn't let him do anything. Like, there was no, he's just impressing you more than the average sight. I don't know.
Yeah, and then that's what I was going to say too, is that Silva's not going to be able to muscle him around. I mean, there's, the size difference is probably going to be negligible.
Shorter than Josh Van. Think about that. On
Yeah,
paper,
exactly.
shorter than that motherfucker. Holy God.
So I mean, he's not going to have the muscle to be able to get him down. So if it's going to stay on the feet, Van with the hands. I mean, like, we've seen it too many times to even doubt it at this point. Against an opponent like Silva, this should be a slam dunk, I would say.
I agree. I'm waiting for it.
Well, another fight that I am looking forward to over here, Azamat Murzakanov coming back against Brenton Ribeiro. Ribeiro proven himself to be a little bit more of a threat than maybe once considered, but Murzakanov 14-0,
I think you're blowing it a little out of proportion. Brenton Ribeiro had one performance after a snoozer. Yeah, the Machado dude. And then he lost to Gaja Zulov, who we know is not that good because Bruno Lopez, who just got knocked out last week, sucks. And that was a majority decision loss. That's actually super interesting to note. Also got knocked out by Zhang Minyang. I think Brenton Ribeiro is not that great. This is obviously selective matchmaking because this is a guy who doesn't fight very often. He's undefeated. They want to give him specific people that can keep the mystique going. I think this is a perfect matchup where he goes in here and boxes up Brenton Ribeiro.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think that if Ribeiro can get him to the ground, there might be some possible submission threat, maybe. Because I do remember him being somewhat decent when he actually can get you down. I know he is a black belt and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there is potential there. Murzakanov just too nice with the hands, though. I think you're exactly right. I think he's going to be able to just box his head off.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, another heavy price tag on him, a -600 versus a +400, pretty much same odds as the last fight. So, another sweetener, perhaps. But, you add a couple of those together, and then that's a pretty decent parlay if you're confident.
True.
All right. Well, keeping it moving then. Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, Salsa Boy coming back. What do you think?
This one is really hard to gauge because on one end, yes, Waldo, he is the type of he plays the bully ball kind of deal where he's gonna muscle you around, he's gonna lay on you if you need to, he's gonna make it the fight that you don't want it to be. His last performance wasn't necessarily the greatest, but Sergey Spivak is one of these guys that genuinely has impressed me in losses and in some wins. He has made me think like, okay, I've looked at this guy wrong. On the other end, Waldo, I have always, and I still true to life think like this is just a very basic heavyweight. Yes, he has a lot of the skills that make him better than some, but there's nothing that makes me go, Waldo Cortez is the best heavyweight prospect that we have right now. And it's not to say that I have somebody whose name is better than Waldo. It's just I know for a fact it can't be Waldo. Like he's just too basic. Like he's just too by the books.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say about it is that Waldo has done in his fights like the right things in order to get the wins that he has, but it does stop there. You know what I mean? There's no real like pizzazz to it, or any kind of like back pocket bag of tricks kind of stuff when it comes to Waldo. So, I mean, if he thinks he's going to be able to lay on Spivak, that would be very, very unwise. If he thinks that he's going to trade hands, that's probably more likely. He might have some success there. I mean, Spivak can get touched. I would be leaning on that if you think that Waldo's going to win, but I just think that Spivak is a more well-rounded fighter overall. He's a more experienced fighter. He's fought a lot better competition than Waldo. Two mixed results perhaps, but the experience level is certainly there at this point. And he's one of those dudes, Spivak, who continues to just play the merry-go-round of being in that like upper middle part of the division. I think a fight like this is perfect for him to just continue doing that.
I agree. I think it'll be interesting, but I'm not really too sure who's going to win. I'm hesitant to say Waldo will take it as the slight underdog here because Spivak, again, very impressive in certain aspects.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, because of Waldo falling back on a base of skills that do work for him well, they could come through for him. I mean, that's certainly possible. The line is very close for that reason. I just think that Spivak will be able to navigate in a way that's going to be successful for him. It's the I think that Spivak has more of those like variable wild card elements that he can pull out and lean on that could catch Waldo off base.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go with Spivak on that one. All right, the rebooking of Andreas Gustafsson. We were supposed to see him at the event this past weekend. We did not. He is here now, and he has not fought his way, almost failed his way upward. I've been saying 2 fights canceled, and now finds himself facing Chaos Williams on the pay-per-view. So this guy went from fighting Malcolm Wellmaker, who is another Contender Series guy that got canceled, to fighting Trevin Giles. That gets canceled because Giles hurts himself. To now
It
fighting
was not
Chaos.
Malcolm Wellmaker. That was
What
not the name.
wasn't it? It was.
Uh,
Oh, Jeremiah Wells. That's what it was. My mistake. Sorry. Thank you. Jeremiah
let's say.
Wells was who he was
Okay.
going to fight. But so there you go. So it goes from fighting Jeremiah Wells to Trevin Giles. Now Chaos Williams on a pay-per-view. Is the hype real with this guy?
I want to say that the hype is going to be so real in this matchup, especially at dog money. The finish is going to be easy because I don't know who needs to hear this because I've been hearing it float around. But guys, Chaos Williams is not that fucking good.
Nah.
Like, he's literally not good. Like, again, you saw him against an average striker and a great submission guy. He gets put on the mat and he gets subbed out. He's lost to, he's lost to people before. He's never been finished, on the feet, sure, and he has 8 finishes. But
Was he not the one that just got kicked in the face by Sadikov? Oh no, Gabriel Bonfim sub.
yes. The Bonfim brother was the one who got kicked in the face by Salikov.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
But Chaos Williams, I just can't believe people really think this guy is good. I just genuinely don't see it. I see a meaty hook merchant who has no footwork, who doesn't really throw many kicks that are very relevant. He shows up without a haircut. That's another thing I'll note is he doesn't look like he takes shit serious. If you're going to show up without the cut, you better be good enough to show that you've been putting in the work. If not, go get a fucking haircut and look ass on TV, but look good while you do it. There's just ways to look at it. And Chaos Williams, just not it. Not it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, if Gustafsson can replicate what he did on the Contender Series, this has been the same conversation that we've been having every time that we've been talking about him at this point. He will be the victor in this one. But the issue always becomes that now he, as I said, failing upwards is a turn of phrase. Obviously, he's not failed at all yet. Of course, he hasn't been in the organization. But my point in saying it is that the level of competition has increased because I do think that Chaos Williams is better than Trevin Giles, personally, at least. Different styles of fighters, but I think that he would edge him out in that regard. Now, so that being said, does the new booking affect that because we have not seen him in the organization? We're still without the data. We are still in the same position that we were in before, where it's like, yes, we saw a very impressive finish on the Contender Series, and the method of finish was very impressive. That's what really stood out to me and to a lot of people, is that he was in close range with those elbows, utilized them effectively in a way that was very, very beneficial, and got himself a really nice knockout that way. Can he do that against an actual fighter in the organization, tenured? This is the big question mark right now.
Well, it's going to be hard to say because if you believe, that there's selective matchmaking, the original opponent probably would have been able to let Andreas Gustafsson get in close, grab him up, and just, do a bunch of clinch work, which is what he would want to do. Chaos Williams being the third opponent down on a short notice, attempt or whatever you want to say, leads me to believe that Andreas is going to have a tougher time because same thing with Kayla Harrison. These are people who don't really have striking. All they have is the clinch work. So getting into the clinch is going to be hard if you're not setting up the level change and shooting takedowns, making them look for that, or if you're not going to have the striking that makes them question whatever you want to say. There's going to be a method to getting close that I think Gustafsson is going to have to figure out, or he's going to get his head boxed off for about 3 rounds.
Perhaps. Mank coming in with a good point. Does a split decision loss to Randy Brown make any difference to you?
No, because Randy Brown's not all that to me. So
true. All right. Well, I mean, so then you're taking Gustafsson in this one?
I'm taking him by fucking knockout. Yeah, actually, I would take him by finish specifically because I oftentimes get fucked over. They knock him to the ground and then they decide that they want to just choke him out. I'm like, oh, you've never subbed a single person in your life, but now Nora Cornell, now you decide to sub somebody. Interesting.
True. Yeah.
Shout out Sweet.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, and I mean, I guess, this one not going the distance, being the pick might be the way to go with it. I'm gonna tentatively also pick Gustafson based on the strength of what I've seen from him before, but with again the caveat being that this is his first proper fight in the organization against a guy who's been around for a little while. So, just be aware. Be
Hmm.
aware. He is
100%.
he is massive though, so I mean, he's definitely going to be. I mean, they have Chaos Williams as 6 foot on here. That seems like it's a little inflated to me, but just saying. So yeah, I'll take Gustafson, and that's good dog money right there. I think you could do a lot worse than plus 175 on Andreas Gustafson coming in.
Yeah, unless you are a fan of Justice, then you should probably not put money down on Mr. Gustafson.
Yeah, well, Justice, is that the what are you referring to?
Well, the justice was actually already served when he got the tattoo covered up. But if you hold
Oh,
grudges, then you
well,
probably shouldn't put your money on him.
yeah, we'll talk about that one probably on the other side of this thing a little bit more. Of course, we talked about it on a previous episode. If you want to go back and hear our thoughts on Mr. Gustafson and his questionable tattoo choices.
Hmm.
All right, moving on down the line here. Ariane De Silva versus Wang Tong. The Joker is back. What do we think about this?
I rightfully guessed that her last fight was going to be a decision. She wasn't going to chase the finish because that's what got her fucked up in the first, in her first loss in the UFC. Well, first loss in general. This one, she will definitely be more willing to stand and trade and finish this bitch. She has 10 losses. Wang Tong, you are somebody who's supposed to be that fucking good. So get out there and finish this girl.
It is insane to me that she is not a heavier favorite than a minus 575 in this
Hmm.
fight. Ariane De Silva, Ariane Lipski, is just the most okayest fighter that there is, really. I mean, she is so down the line a you know I don't even I want to call her a can. It's not it's a little bit harsh, I would say, but as far as women fighters go, she's about as basic as it gets. This should be a walk in the park for Wang Tong. It would be very, very surprising to me if De Silva has anything for her on the feet. If it goes to the ground, there might be some issues there. We're going to really have to see if Wang Tong can stuff the takedowns and keep herself off of her back. We've seen her do pretty decently in that regard at times before, so I'm hoping that can be the case here. De Silva might have a little bit of like stockiness on her. Like she might be able to muscle her around a little bit. So I'd be a little bit worried about that. But I don't think that Wang Tong is going to have much of a problem here. She's definitely not going to have to worry about getting knocked out like she was in the other fight.
You guys got to remember Wang Tong, when you watch her in the stand up and she's flowing, she has one of the most pure kickboxing games that you've ever seen. She is so fucking skilled.
True.
If she's able to keep this fight on the outside, there's no fucking question. She easily dices her up and looks for a finish around round two.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree. I think that this is pretty open and shut against Ariane De Silva, who is, spotty at best, 17-10.
yeah.
All right. Jeka Sarange coming back versus Ju Sang Yu. Is this Jiu-Jitsu?
This is not Jiu-Jitsu.
This
This
is
is
the other
another
guy.
you.
Okay, this different you. Okay, I thought that was the case. All right, so Jeka has been a topic of conversation in the past. A dude that is kind of interesting to watch. He's got a fan friendly style to an extent, but has been beaten. And as an Indonesian fighter, we've talked about fighters representing underdeveloped and underserved regions of the world when it comes to mixed martial arts. What do you think about this fight?
Crazy dog for Jekka. I mean, this is a dude who I just checked. He has one submission. That's the only thing that got over on Jekka before. And honestly, I've seen Jekka. One of the more notable moments that I have from it. It's one of my favorite moments. The dude shoots on Jekka. Jekka just turns, lifts his leg up, and just bops the dude with an uppercut, lays him down, and just goes hammers his fist. It's amazing the instincts that Jekka has. Last fight against Weston Wilson just wasn't his day. I want to believe that. I think that he will come out here and finish the South Korean native Ju Sang Yu.
Yeah, I mean, is you another road to UFC contender? Is that the?
No, he is not.
Oh,
ZFN 2.
okay. Well, I mean, unless they know something that we don't know about this guy, because he is a huge favorite right now. I see Mank in the chat saying fade the guy who got slept by Anshul Jubli. I mean, there is probably some merit to that line of thinking as well. But I guess maybe maybe Vegas knows something about this Jusang Yu that we don't know.
Mm,
Maybe.
we'll see, man. I don't know. I think I like Jekka though.
All right. I mean, I'm with it too. I will also tentatively put my backing towards Jekka just because he's been around and we have a base of reference. So hopefully if you is really about it, if you is really worth minus 550, then go out there and show it.
Hell yeah.
Quillen Salkeld coming back after his debut win.
Speaking of Mr. Anshul Jabli,
Yeah, Quillen Salkeld getting the win over Mr. Jubilee there, going up against Yanal Ashmuz here, the Israeli gentleman who got pushed around a whole bunch by was it
Bryce Mitchell.
well, yeah, by Bryce, but it was also by Trevor Peak, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh no, yeah, okay, I see what you did there. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, that was a bad joke. But either way, this one will be interesting. I think this one is as much of a coin flip as any on the card. This one's really hard for me to gauge because Quillen, he's new to the promotion and he did have a flash knockout that is getting his name, around the park. But Ashmuz, he might be able to pull out a basic game plan that just wins by decision, and we may not get to see the excitement that we could out of Mr. Salkid.
I think that's where my head is at, and I'll tell you why. Yanal Ashmuz is a grindy fighter. He's a dude who gets his hands on you and just pushes you around a whole bunch. A lot of cage cuddling, a lot of ground cuddling from this guy. I would think that Salkeld might just be a little underexperienced at this stage of his career to deal with a fighter like Ashmuz, like with the style that he's going to bring to the table with it. Now, unless because really, I think that the issue with Salkeld was that he did show some nice work on the Contender Series, and obviously knocking out Anshul Jubilee very, very quickly does speak a good amount to his potential, but knocking out Anshul Jubilee does not really impress me all that much because Anshul Jubilee is not all that impressive.
True.
So we have not seen him against a fighter who's going to go in there and get his hands all over you, willing to take a punch, which Ashmuz is, like he's going to do whatever it takes to get his hands on you. So if you punch him in the face, he'll take that as long as he gets his hands on you at the end of it.
Yeah.
So I would be worried that Ashmuz is going to go in there, grab him, push him around a whole bunch, utilize his weight, just really kind of bully him, big brother him a little bit. That would be where my head's at with this.
I 100% agree. That's where I'm thinking. Yep.
And as a plus 350 on Ashmuz, good dog to me.
Hell yeah.
All right, and to finish this thing off, Markel Medeiros, was supposed to be on the card this past weekend. He was not. He is here fighting Mark Chionsky.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I was going to say I thought the fight was moved. I didn't know that they were going to flip opponents for Mr. Medeiros. They probably realized that he was going to lose. Now the dude's a favorite, and he's a fucking 10-1 prospect, so they had to give him somebody on short notice, which this is a dude, and I want to make note of this because it sounds like a fairy tale land, but I obviously know this is a real fight promotion, but he's from Anthony Pettis FC. I mean,
yeah.
It's just like, in my mind, it's like, oh, you're coming from a fucking celebrity event. Like, that's the way that I'm looking at it. Obviously, it's not the case, but like they gave him somebody who's coming from a fucking, a banquet match. Like, I don't know. It's
yeah,
crazy.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that, he is 8-0 pro. So, I mean, I guess that there's something there. But look, I'll tell it to you like this. If Medeiros doesn't win this fight, there is nothing of value in Markel Medeiros. So that being said, that should lead you to believe that he has at least some basis of skill set that is going to get him the win. I remember a time before his previous fight thinking that he was actually pretty decent. And then his last fight completely changed my expectations, subverted my expectations like so many Star Wars films. So, I mean, this right here needs to be a definitive win for him because if he can't do the job against this guy coming in, basically out of Dan Hooker's Backyard Brawl series over here, then there's nothing for Markel Medeiros in this sport.
100% agree. I don't think he's impressive. He did not impress me in the last one, and showing the lack of, people can impress you in losses, and the fact that he's still young and he's not showing me that like, there was the moment that he needs to capitalize on that more. There's just none of that. He's just super basic, doesn't do anything impressive, no X factor, very NPC type of fighter.
Yeah, getting chased around the cage and pretty much beaten, but gifted a win against Austin Hubbard. That should also speak pretty high volumes as to what you're dealing with Medeiros.
100%. Yep.
So there you go. There you have it. Those are our picks for UFC 316, Dvalishvili versus O'Malley 2. Of course, we will both be on our individual watch-alongs to watch these fights live with you. I will be right here, most likely with the Vitz King. That is at youtube.com/@YamaShow. And Chase, I know that you can tell them where they can find you.
They will obviously find me doing the watch alongs on Saturday at youtube.com/@CPSmalls. And of course, Twitter, I'll be hanging out, making sure I figure out who the only LARPer is for Karate Combat on Twitter, x.com/@CreativePartin, Partin.
We're going to get to the bottom of this mystery one of these days. It's getting closer and closer. I can feel it.
Yep.
youtube.com/@YamaShow for everything else Yama related. Hoping to have some type of content out this week. I have been buried outside of YouTube with a lot of behind the scenes stuff that is just taking a lot of my time recently. So it's been a little bit hard for me to commit to getting anything out. But at some point coming up, myself and Chase are going to be continuing our review of The Cage. So hopefully that will happen sooner than later. We'll figure that one out. And, hopefully I'll be able to have some time to put something together for you. If not this week, then definitely next week, new Yama episode will be out. So either way, appreciate you. You can find me at Yama Show on Instagram and Twitter as well. And we will see you in the next stream. So until then, everybody, have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week. And as always, fight on.
Change.